All right, turn 50. We have made it. And opening this entire game, this is our first game of multiplayer, and the goal was to survive, basically. And I think that we've definitely, at the very least, accomplished that. But we have a pretty nice turn. Nothing too crazy going on this turn. And also, probably not going to have anything too crazy going on next turn, but the following turn, we will have the Reckoning coming. So let's kind of get into it. We do manage to negotiate for 30 air gems. We trade away 30 water gems for 30 air gems. Seems like a decent trade. You could probably, or we could probably try and negotiate an asymmetric trade where we're like, hey, we'll give you less than 30 air gems. But one, this like is probably a little too nitty, and two, this probably just makes people not like you. And three, Atlantis doesn't need... we came to Atlantis. Last time, Atlantis kind of came to us and said, I have a bunch of air gems, I want to get rid of them. This time we're like, hey, we need some air gems. So that's what's going on. We do get some summons down. Have been summoning a few crabs down here. Mr. Krabs, clickety-clackety. These guys are just very, very tanky, and we kind of have a decent underground force here in case things turn really sideways, which is why we've like left the nether open. He does break out in the abyss, which we'll get to. A few summons. We also have this summon come through, and something that's worth noting is if Roos doesn't have a scout here, which Roos doesn't seem to be producing that many scouts based on the way he's playing, he's not going to know that there's a Naiad here because this is a stealthy unit. And so he's also not going to know that there's troll, a Sea King here, a water troll. And so I'm expecting to see this Mantis crash down here, and our trolls to give him a proper thwacking. To that extent, we've also increased the PD up to 11. We're going to look to patrol this down, probably. But this will also gain us access to the sea to raid him and also just attack. Also, we moved our scout over here. Very curious, no one's taken this. Ghouls and Soulless is typically an easy thing to take, so maybe there's some underlying mage core here that makes taking this impossible, but otherwise just a little bit confused why Tianchi or nobody ever claimed this. There's only a few provinces left that are neutrals. Barbarian Chiefs here are one example of them, but we cleared out some of the really nasty... I guess it's people who started conflicts early didn't have time to do this, and they just never got around to it, but leaving decent income on the table here, I think. We also summoned some Manticores, very tough unit. We are going to be kind of sending them over. I don't think we're going to end up needing them, but they have fear. They have a range attack, so like maybe there's some way of trying to set them up to use their range attack effectively, but I think we're just going to drop them in with a bunch of Draconians and backlines generally, where the fear that they add will add a little bit of value, and they're really tanky. 62 HP and actually have a decent protection means that they'll go down quickly if they're just by themselves, but we have 6 here along with 3 Draconians. We're just going to link them up over here with another group of Draconians, and I think that'll be pretty nice. Also making use of this flying carpet we made like forever ago. We maybe give this guy some gems to kind of carry over, but he is also transporting these vine men who otherwise would have to take 1, 2, 3 turns to get here. So kind of fortifying and clamping down there a little bit. We do find some magical sites. We find 2 in Wisesprig Groves with the Sorgina and another one with Unga Bunga. We get air gem, a fire gem, interesting, and also province income plus 75, Forest of the Ape King, which makes this a pretty nice province here, 170 income. Income, incidentally, is just doing very well. Even after our spend down, we still have 650. Probably going to save up and start upgrading some of our forts, because I think that's kind of the thing that we have to do next. We also find the Kobold. Kobold here also finds this. Very nice. More Glamour Gem income, more Astral Pearls. We are getting a decent amount of Glamour Gem income, finally. Been trying to kind of work that for forever with Obscuro, the idiot, who incidentally, as per usual, found nothing down here. But okay, he's going to go to the caves and look around for some more, which means he's just going to be filled with further failure. And then we do get a few more Blood Slaves in Deep Wagor and Hot Hollows Deep Waygor, we've swapped this guy over for blood hunting to patrolling, causing a little bit of unrest. This is hurting our income a bit, and so in theory we want to have and set up spots like this, where we have some guy constantly patrolling, and this guy's going to patrol forever with this Watcher, which gives plus 50 patrol. I think we want to set up more Watchers and Patrollers in areas where we have cave entrances and this type of stuff. Areas where we don't want scouts getting by, so we're looking to set that up with great C note. That's why we gave this Sorgina Boots of the Messenger, a little bit of a +9 map move. And so she's going to be able to get topside in 1 turn, so we're saving a turn with Boots of the Messenger, economy of turns. And then planning on having this guy sneak out, Empower in Blood, if we can, in Great Cenote. Probably search Great Cenote, because he's there. And then Blood Hunt there, and then have this guy, once he's done making the Palisade, he doesn't have much research ability, have him carry a Watcher and patrol with the Watcher constantly. And in doing so, we will deny vision, only have to pay maintenance on these guys, and set up a spot where we can blood hunt pretty effectively in a high pop place without causing unrest, because the patrol will get it back down. So all of that together does seem pretty good, but we're kind of like setting up a blood economy to some extent. Starting to get to, we're about to have 3 units with blood. The main idea for us getting blood, though, at least at the very beginning, is being able to forge one of these. And we can do that now. And the important part here is, in order to cast globals, we only have Earth 4 on our Pretender. We need Earth 5. So we're going to have our Pretender forge a Bloodstone finally, which is going to mean we need to find some amount of Blood Slaves this turn if we want to be able to empower next turn. But that's kind of what our Obelisk is doing. Also, incidentally, we do have some mages here. They're just kind of holding tight. We've swapped this guy over to Hal, and we have thrown him in the front of all the mages to kind of soak damage. We do not want to cast Foul Vapors and kill all of our mages, so the strategy with the Obelisk has changed a little bit, but the Obelisk is bricking, travels through Wisespring Groves. And then we have quite a few battles over here. I think we will start with kind of going through the Xibalban ones. He breaks out of the Abyss with 2 Batabs. Nothing too crazy to be worth noting. He breaks out with a decent chunk of guys. I don't know why he's using this many guys to break out. He knows that there's like nobody here. And if we move our army back onto this is just super dead. But we do kind of get revealed to us. There's about 50 units, according to the patrol. There's about 50 units here. This is what we think he has. Cavemen are trash units. They get killed very, very easily. And then Xibalban Scorpions, kind of trash unit. Xibalban Warriors. I think that we might be making a mistake of just playing this too slowly, and we should just try and kill him faster. But if this were a 1v1, us being slow and methodical would definitely be better, but it's not a 1v1. It's not zero-sum, so playing low and slow and steady is not necessarily stronger. But I think he had 90 units here before, and we also assault here and get an idea of what he has here. He used to have 190 units, so I think he is losing units to not being able to pay their upkeep, and this is not even the turn where he's going to get cucked by the fact that we control forts. However, a little bit of new knowledge for us, or me, rather. Again, this is kind of knowledge gap. It seems like the fort income is split between the person who's sieging and also the person who holds the fort. Maybe it's split 50-50. That would be kind of a reasonable inference. So he's not on 0 gold, so he's not attritioning out everything. And we also get to see what his mage core looks like. It's 3 Camazots, and I think what he's doing is the Camazots are stealthy. I think he's moving the Camazots onto the provinces where he thinks we might assault. This is a decent chunk of cap turns in terms of mages, but he's maybe moving them onto the provinces that he thinks we're going to assault, so us moving around the army is wasting his time too, in addition to our own. But this is maybe worth kind of taking a brief look at in terms of the script. He does immediately drop in. He does have some guys to just drop in immediately. So, including a Beast Bat there, which is maybe worth noting. That's a sacred guy. But one of the reasons why this is tolerable for him, he also has Blood Slaves in kind of prepared for the Oniki. So I think the Oniki is going to have a script that involves that. And the Oniki has been here for some time. And so us starting on the province without the Oniki, without the his pretenders, maybe like the order, the sequence in which you'd like to do it. But we do see that his pretenders here, Divine Blessing, it is the Cigar Junkie, the Prophet. And just kind of want to look around, in particular, for items on his, any of his guys. And this will kind of give us a little bit of information. So he is using the Revenant for researching. You can see 22 research and Skull Mentor. So even though we have just about everyone having... he's also got multiple Blood Searcher guys. So it looks like he's trying to get a blood economy up. And he's got 4 gems on this guy. But he has no gems on his Oniki. So not sure exactly what the script is going to look like in total. It does look like he's set up multiple bodyguards, which is fine for us, because if he commits guys to being bodyguards, that means that they can't be used elsewhere, and you see that he has basically just the Beast Bats, which are going to get blessed. Going to be a little bit nasty, 21 strength, because I think he has +6 strength, and then if they kill stuff, I think they go up to 25. I think he has Blood Surge. So... yeah, 22 damage on the Venomous Fangs is, like, no joke, and it's really no joke with the Ocelotls. If you ever got going with the Ocelotls, this is kind of the spooky thing, is these guys getting +6 strength, plus an additional amount from Blood Surge. I think he has Blood Surge, I'm not 100% sure, that's +9. This is, like, 30 damage on 3 attacks, and there's 2 of these guys square, because they're size 5. That is a bit of a vibe. They are demons, so strategies that are good against demon will be okay. Strategies that deny flyers are okay. He doesn't have storm flyers, so casting storm is one of the ways we can fight him. I think the matchup overall is probably okay, but we get it. The main idea is we get additional information here. And okay, we also fight in Mighty Pillars. We don't get gem baited. It's just his PD, so nothing too interesting. It's worth noting that he knows we have all this. And also maybe worth noting that we have... we have brought all of our scouts over here. The reason being, if there's any assassination attempts, they can hit our scouts. We would prefer them to just hit the 35 cost unit. And at this point, we have information on all the provinces we need. So we don't need to spread the scouts out quite so much. So that's kind of what we have going on here. And down here, we have squads upon squads upon squads of reinforcing units that I think are good enough to take out his raiding squads. Not tremendous. We wouldn't want to assault a fort with it. But they're all going to be occupying every single province. Every single province is going to be occupied by a decent-sized squad, with the exception of Stonegrave Mountains. We're also going to abandon sitting on Xibalba, but we're going to storm the castle for more information. We're also storming the castle here for more information. So, going to find some things out. He is continuing to raid with a Batab and a few Xibalban guards. We maybe should be putting down a little bit more PD. Here our units, it doesn't work the way I thought it would, where I thought these two would bump each other. Instead, they just pass through each other. I guess because they're both stealthy, and they both stealth and then attacked, or something like this. But he attrition's a little bit on the 11 PD, but the cost that we have to spend for 11 PD, I think, is like 80 gold. And so this is not necessarily a super good trade for us, because he'll drop in and he'll only lose 2 guys, so he loses like 18 gold worth of stuff. But us trading down in gold is kind of okay. We're not super thrilled with it, but it's also really not that bad. So he does lose a couple. Well, actually, you know what? If he's losing Sun Guides, that's 36 gold. We'll actually take that trade. We'll take the 1 to 2 trade on Sacred Troops that aren't going to desert. And then we also have this battle. He only has 1 PD here, and watching this battle takes forever because the gelatinous cubes take forever to do anything. So just kind of a little bit of maintenance here, and a little bit under-exciting in terms of the Xibalban fights, and probably next turn's going to be that as well, unless he makes it play at Mighty Pillars. We have kind of set stuff up a little bit. We've set this guy up to cast Flaming Arrows. You know what? I'm going to delete that from his script. We want him to conserve the gems, because next turn we get Conjuration 7. And with 3 gems exactly, he can cast Living Fire and summon 4 fire elementals. And so that's what we're setting up for next turn, is a really big turn where we are going to summon 16 elementals, have a bunch of globals, and get a big fat assault on what I think actually is the scariest army at this point. If this is the army and this is the army of 56 and it's just got a couple Sacred Scorpions, whatever. If this, to be fair, this might be a little bit spookier with 42 Beast Bats. Okay. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this Sorgina in, and then we are also teleporting this Sorgina in, Cloud Trapeze, and specifically we've given her a fire plate because we want to exchange a fire plate onto our Gentle there, and she's bringing the Flying Ointment, which gives Storm immunity. And so what her script is going to be this turn is leading with Storm, so he won't be able to fly. But next turn, it's going to be leading with Storm, and then summon Storm Power. Grants Air Magic bonus +1, which means that the Sorginas will be able to comfortably cast the upcoming spell, Living Clouds, summoning 4 air elementals apiece. We're going to summon a dozen. There's going to be a Storm up. Our Gentle will have Storm immunity. Our Gentle will have guaranteed flying, which has been a subject of much consternation. He will get a little bit more morale off of the plate mail. Morale is something we're worried about. The fire plate instead. And then he'll jump the back line with a dozen air elementals. And then we'll also get 4 fire elementals. We could put in his script with Earth Gems, we could summon Earth Elementals. I think it's mildly gratuitous, and we don't want him to generate too much fatigue. So that's kind of what's going to be going on. So next turn, we will send the attack, as long as stuff doesn't get catastrophic. We're also maybe getting a little bit cute here. I don't know if he cracks down on Forest of Idunes with the Force from the Abyss. If he does, this just, loses. But I assume that he goes after Summerlands, and then we just deny the income by taking the Abyss, the PD from it. We also thought about sending this guy back to the Summerlands, but I think this is cuter, and this wastes more time of his if it works. If it doesn't work, then we get wrecked. We also had to renew a couple bids on stuff. The Trolls, I think let's overpay a little bit, because we actually really want these Trolls to kind of stay around. But Struma's Freaks, if they somehow survive, 40 gold is kind of okay. Next turn, we'll renew our contract with Obscuro for whatever reason that we decide to do that, which is stupid, because he doesn't find anything. We also get attacked by Trolls. Thought about just running in with a couple of these guys and, buff themselves up, get 30 plus prot, and come swing it in with some Maces of Eruption. The Trolls specifically are weak to fire, so they'll die very quickly to Maces of Eruption, and the AoE will be nice. The regeneration won't be too effective. However, these guys hit for 34 damage. I'd rather just be safer if we're going to put gear on guys and send them in. So we're turning back around this army, or this small little cadre of like-minded individuals, and what they like is being giant. And what we'll do is we'll set up next turn to reclaim this, just kind of a little bit steady, but kind of good to know that the income seems to be split between the two. So we can't wholesale deny completely Xibalban income, although we're denying a lot by sitting on Xibalba and expecting him to attrition a lot more units next turn, and this assault to just be completely gratuitous. But being gratuitous is kind of okay. It allows you to preserve units. We're maybe getting to the point where we aren't that interested in summoning Cave Cows anymore. They're kind of a lot of upkeep. But we already have all of our guys. We already have all of our shepherds. They're probably still worth it, but we're definitely not building any more Beck rides. I do think these pair kind of, or match up relatively nicely against the flying units, though, so we're kind of thinking that Xibalba is not going to be too big of a factor. We are starting to recruit Sinos again. I think that way that we lose is if everyone dogpiles us, and someone we're scared of is Yomi. Also not thrilled with this, that he continues to build up Draconians here. I've thought about messaging him. If this guy comes to here, that's maybe a little bit of a bad sign. We're trying to keep an eye on stuff. But if Lanka, like, breaks... We want to be in a situation where if Lanka breaks a truce, we're not, like, caught with our pants down. And so, gotta be kind of careful of this. To that extent, we're actually moving this guy over to Lombaria, and we're maybe going to start summoning some form of troops in here. And the summoned troops have the very nice advantage that they don't require any upkeep. And so to try and insulate ourselves. But this kind of brings us over to Roos and fighting him. He's cleared out some of the riffraff in some spots. We don't have any PD here. And he's coming out with Son of Heaven, Killer Mantis. The key thing for us is, okay, the Killer Mantises are really good at killing the things. The key thing for us is checking to see if the leader has items or gems. But I think the reason he's recruiting these guys, if we didn't talk about it last turn, is they're poison resistant. So we can't foul vapors with Mantis. But they're still kind of... At this phase of the game, they're a really trash unit. And this is an indication that he probably doesn't have very high-level Conjuration or Magic. But they are pretty killy. They do kill things pretty fast. They have piercing damage, so they're going to perform poorly against some of the stuff we're summoning that's piercing resistant, but okay. And we see another instance of that here. And again, the thing that we are trying to be careful about is understanding what these squads can do, if they can do anything special. We know that this guy can do fire spells, lightning spells, this type of thing, but nothing too crazy. And just another Mantis. These guys are scripted to bless, and then I don't even know what they're scripted to do. Barkskin? Yeah, this kind of makes some sense. The script is more important than... Yeah, that's actually the extent of his bless, and then he's just on cast spells, not even advanced cast. So I don't think that that's gonna... I think that's gonna run into a brick wall here. If he has a scout here, it'll look just like 1 PD, because we put the PE in this turn. And I don't think he has vision, and I think we're just gonna kind of clip him a little bit there. That kind of brings us over here. For Airmore, we do need to siege it down. So the Mouflin got killed, we're sending in more Mouflin to really get the sieging down a little bit quicker. This squad has a decent amount of siege strength, 240, so I don't think it'll be too many turns. This squad coming in has 122, and the squad of Mouflins coming in has 135. So this next turn, we might be able to assault here with Barea, but did kind of shift things around a little bit, tune this up, but it's basically the same idea. We might just, like, park this Orgina and the Gentle just in the back left corner or something. That way they get the script off, but he also summons flyers, so maybe that's not a good enough strategy. We also send Basil Juan in. Unfortunately, the priest dies. Our script for him was actually awful. I didn't even check his script. He was on advance and cast spells, but he did his job, which was to bless Basil Juan, and then Basil Juan did his job, which was to kill everyone. And to be fair, this advance... if one of these javelins were to interrupt our spellcasting, that would have been kind of a little bit annoying, so this might have actually been optimal. And then Basil Juan just gets in there, and he has 30 protection and regeneration, and he regenerates 8 health a turn if he takes any damage. And then he has 26 attacks, so every attack goes off, and then he has extreme quickness. Where's his quickness? It doesn't really tell us the level of quickness, but as he gets higher and higher experience, this heroic quickness gets better and better. So if we just, like, watch him, if we watch him at normal speed, he's going to just, like, be attacking constantly, and every time he attacks, he kind of kills the square, and so, you know, He's going to churn through everyone at an extremely good rate, and he's still just staying at max life. Not bothered by anything in the world, and not fatigued at all, despite attacking so frequently because he has 12 reinvigoration. If we had less reinvigoration on our Bless, we would be generating more fatigue every single turn, right? So 4 is maybe a little bit excessive because we'd be okay with a little bit of fatigue, but 3 is probably what we would want to be able to make something like this pop off, although he has like he's attacking like 4 times as fast, and also quickness gives a couple other benefits. You can see I think he gives +1 attack, and this is just the buff. Okay, giving +2 attack, +2 quickness, but also his combat speed. His heroic ability is giving him +102% speed. His quickness is giving him +100%. These are multiplicatively effective. Right, this 14 is turning into 24, which is turning into 48. So he just runs everything down. And we've kind of focused on him a little bit, but he continues to be the crown jewel of the kingdom. And just kind of watch the Hall of Fame, he's up to just under 300 kills. So that's nice. Summer Edge, we're just going to send him over to Summer Edge, and we're going to send another Sacrificial Priest over with him. Same goal, just to be able to completely stop everything. Summer Edge, nice little raid. He doesn't put in the PD, so this cavalry kind of coin flip idea works out for us, where just the 7 heavy cavalries can just run over the 6 men present, or the 3 men present, rather. But if he advances there next turn, he'll be met with Bazahuan, the Gentle, not the Bazahuan. And then if he advances here, he's going to be met with Unga Bunga, and the consequences that follow from that. So I think this is like a brick wall, and we don't have to worry about funny map movements, and we're just going to take our time, assault Airmore, clean him out, and then come over here, assault here, and then push over here. And at the same time, be pushing from the other side, investing a lot of gems and summoning more guys. Over here, we are summoning allies. We're contacting Draconians, so the Draconians will be able to like raid like here and all around very, very effectively. And then we're also contacting some Lamia, which are very, very strong units that have regeneration and do well against... what is it? They can resist foul vapors, as can the Draconians. Draconians also have 15 poison resistance, so these two things combined are going to be really nice. Also going to try and keep an eye on this. Gassy little fella, we saw him before, he can summon a lot of stuff. And so we should try and keep in mind what can potentially come through. But for now, it seems like it's just Rusian hunters and Chud warriors, and so that's kind of what's going on up here. Nothing too crazy other than us clearing out the PD. I guess it's kind of a lot of PD to clear out, but this is one of the reasons why that massive PD dump's just not very effective. I'm not sure how much PD this is even. I think it's over 20, and it just doesn't pay out very well when strategies that are effective against PD are implemented, because the PD just fundamentally can't kill this guy, and there's nothing to be done. We are also forging some new items. We're planning on maybe casting the Forging Global soon, but we're forging another Girdle of Might, which is the reinvigoration item, a Fire Plate with our guy who has Fire Path, another Homunculus with our guy who has 2 Nature. We're forging one of those every turn. A Coral Blade to help keep our kind of low life mages around. I think our Sorginas ideally would all have Coral Blades. But we've lost a lot of equipment into the Void because I'm bad at this game. And as such, we've needed to replenish stuff like armor. And then we're also forging water lenses. We're having more and more water mages. We wish we had a water lens for the Sea Troll. I think eventually we try and get one to him. But when we can forge one of these temp gem items for 1 gem, it just seems like super plus EV. Because as soon as you get to your second battle, it's like additional gems. And we will be able to summon a bunch of water elementals with the Sea King as well. And so he is going to be obnoxious. He's already at 4 water. Once he gets underwater, he'll be able to summon water power, get up to 5, and then summon 5 water elementals in one go. And so that will allow us to clean out this very easily. And then we will be raiding, we're raiding above with the Draconians from the sea over here, pushing with the unkillable Bazahuan. And so it's a slow-moving squeeze, but I do think we're kind of pressing him in a little bit, especially because we have pretty good information. Also, the scouts you can all see coming through as well. We have quite a few scouts that we have set up, including some of these that are Kamazots. In particular, kind of want to bring them over to the Cave of Ghouls and try and make use of this to summon some free ghouls, something like that. From a macro perspective, a little bit worried about Lanka. Worried, of course, about getting coalitioned. And if we get coalitioned, we will probably need to turn and burn in a lot of ways. And the way we're thinking about the win, because we were talking about trying to win on turn 47 several turns ago, like 10 turns ago, 8 turns ago, something like this. And then after we failed to take the throne here, it became apparent that that was not going to be a thing. But we're currently sitting on 2 thrones. We need 6 thrones, basically, unless one of them is not a tier 3 throne, but I think Second Forest is tier 3, so that's going to be one that we get. When we get these 2, we'll only need 2 more thrones. And we're thinking, trying to keep our eye on the prize. This will be one of the thrones that we can get pretty easily. And so that means we have to get one more throne from somewhere else. The only other neutral throne, now that Yomi's taken this, is this. But we might be able to attack that from the ocean with a really big squad. We also have this Bishop Fish underwater. I'm not sure if we highlighted this, but this guy can claim thrones specifically, and so he's going to be part of that strategy and getting him kind of done ahead of time. In terms of our spend, we're up to 3,500 gold to turn on mages or commanders. I think there's a couple Tartalos in here, but almost entirely mages. A little bit on units. I think we spent 800 last turn, up to around 1k. Spending some on mercs. Quite a bit on province defense. I think that 300 is on that temple there. But we also pass a critical threshold with regards to our temples, where we are past 15. So that means we get an additional Dominion. Our Dominion strength is up to 10. It is maxed out. Can't get higher than 10. And we are getting 23 temple rolls a turn. And as we take out Airmore, we'll no longer have so many of our temple rolls being pushed by Airmore. And same thing as we take out Xibalba. We are about to get really obnoxious in our Dominion spread. And that might be a spot where we are looking to turn and burn. An area for concern here is there was like 750 ghosts, and now there's not. Now there's like 500. I don't know where Theranos moved their troops. They didn't move them closer to like take out these trolls. We would like to take out the trolls, but we won't be upset if he takes them. But okay. We are forging the item that we talked about with Unga Bunga. With this, the plan is to, I think, kind of commit to starting to cast globals. And I think the one we're going to cast is Forge the Ancients. All magic items have their forge cost reduced by 20%. All mage craft items as if they had Mastersmith +1, so they will be able to craft up. But this is specifically really nice as you start getting into the more expensive things. And for our research, we're going to go into Construction 7. And we're up to 950 research a turn. So we are going to overflow by 300, and then we're going to have 2,100 to go on construction. I don't think we'll be able to complete it in 2 turns, but we'll probably be able to complete it in 3 turns. And then we'll get access to Construction 7, and we'll get access to some items that are very, very expensive. And so having a 20% discount will be very nice. And having +1 in the paths will be very nice. So we will, for example, be able to forge a Ring of Wizardry. Our Pretender has 6 Astral, so he'll need to go up to level 7. which he will get from the Master Smith, but he needs to go up one additional level because all the pillars and all the inanimate objects have a bad forger. But we can get there with the Coin of Meteoric Iron that we forged some time ago, which gives +1 Astral. And then with the Ring of Wizardry, all magic paths +1. This breaks us into basically everything in terms of we can get a lot more summons done. Like, hitting 3 fire is a bit of an issue for us. We will be able to hit 3 fire way more easily with the Ring of Wizardry to summon a fire spirit. When combined with, we're probably going to empower the Gentle, who's been empowered in fire. We're probably going to empower him with death, so he can forge a Skull of Fire. So then we will have a proper fire mage that we can use to search for magical sites, this type of thing. But also there's some other items like on our radar. Some items actually that we can forge right now that we haven't been forging that are just really expensive. Horn of Storms, 40 air gems. That's 8 gems off with the 20% discount, right? And then also we have probably a little bit better than that is the air magic plus a winged helmet. If we can make this with a Sorgina with a hammer, that's going to give 2 discount, and then 20% off is going to save us an additional 5 gems, so it'll only be 18 gems for the booster. And then also just generally speaking on all of the 10 cost items like Bag of Winds and all the stuff we've been producing, we'll save money. We also, our production of Alquills will go down to 1 gem cost instead of 2, cutting it in half. There's also just a ton of really big items in here that'll be useful for us, so the timing is pretty nice too. Like, we can forge these wings. Gentle's giving a discount of 4 and then an additional 5 off, so for discount of 9. Forge these for 16, and these are just like several items in one. They do have flying on them, and so we could put this on a Gentle and just chuck them in. And they have a lot of encumbrance, but we can overcome it. But a Gentle with just that and kind of an AoE weapon and a little bit of the item that gives them bless automatically. They can just operate solo bolo. Also Staff of Storms, another item we want to construct where it just casts storm at the start of the battle. If we get an extended conflict with Xibalba, this will help us to shut down his air mages and this type of thing. But also do want to make a Staff of Elemental Mastery. Tricky for us to get up to fire and water for, or air and earth for, without that global that gives +1 to all paths effectively. So our Sorginas, I think we prefer the... well, actually, this one gives +1 on all range for the elemental spells, and then this one also gives +1. And I think in general we prefer the shock resistance, so we'll probably try and forge this one. Although we probably prefer paying water and... yeah, we probably prefer paying water and fire gems, but this is 50 gems. 20% discount here is huge. That's 10 gems off. And then the plus to paths means that we will be able to fire the Gentle we empowered with 1 fire magic. We put the Staff of Elemental, or we put on him the item that he forges in terms of the cross path, this booster. And then we put Ring of Wizardry on him. And then he will have Fire 3, and then he gets +1 from the global. And then do a similar thing with regards to boosting his water from 1 to 3. And he can forge this. And so it really opens us up. And then once we have Elemental +1, you know, it continues where we will be able to forge everything, cast the really big spells, and utilize items to break us into having a late game that is a little bit stronger, despite not having Blood or Astral, or good access to it. Although we are going to, with this, kind of have good access in the Mighty Pillars. There is, of course, the Iron Throne, which has these guys, who have Astral, so we will be able to get some Astral spells, and then this cross path here, so we will be able to cast, if we make some communions and this type of thing, we'll be able to cast big fire spells and some other big stuff. But these guys take forever to recruit, and we're maybe counting our chickens before they've hatched because we're not going to be taking this next turn. Going to be a little bit of a slow thing, but things are moving, and we're kind of trying to set stuff up. We maybe spend down some of this, if we can think of a way to do this in a way that's conducive towards our long-term goals. Specifically, trying to set up an ability to take this is going to be the thing that we need to be most proactive about. So we're probably going to try and create a lot of units here, but we are limited. I guess we could put in that. We're limited by several factors, and most of the units we're producing are going to be summons, I think. Or summons of summons, this type of thing. And so the two thrones here are pivotal, as are the two thrones here. And so that's kind of what we have our eye on. Alright, so a turn 51 here, and I think that the story of this turn, or my impression is, it's kind of evident that I think we're underplaying super hard on Xibalba, and we should be going harder on them. And this is probably a mark of inexperience, and I think that the way that, in general, I'm conducting this war is probably way overcautious, but reducing risk and variance when we're in a pretty good spot is probably an okay, like, macro level hedge. Like, if you don't understand the game you're playing very well, and I don't think I understand Dominions too terribly well, then hedging in a way that's a little bit careful and not pushing it as hard is probably good, even though it means that you're going to be leaking in general. And we'll kind of come to it, but a big part of it is this Xibalba thing in here, where this is what they have. And we'll circle back to this and we'll look at a closer look at this battle. But they really don't have a lot here, and we probably could have just assaulted Xibalba this turn. But we moved off of Xibalba, and we get 2 assassination attempts that hit pretty hard against us. But now our troops are not on top of it. I think we're going to reform and just look to finish off Xibalba here. But let's kind of get into our turn breakdown here. Just kind of go through things. After kind of doing a lot of the putting this stuff into play for this turn, research is up over 1,000, which this is cranking up a lot faster than I anticipated, but I suppose it's not that surprising considering how much we're spending on mages every turn, and the fact that we are quilling most of these guys out, and we had a lot more mages in motion and a lot more mages summoning the past maybe 5 or so turns that are now back to researching. And so, as a consequence, this is pretty big for us, I think, in terms of the spend. Going through it, we're spending a little bit less on units last turn. We're rehiring the mercs that we already have. We added some PD, and we're spending 600 or 900 on buildings. 600 is upgrading Hot Hollows to a Citadel. I think that we want to upgrade both of our thrones, and also that will give us a little bit more income, so they will pay for themselves at a reasonable rate, considering how stacked up those 2 locations are anyways. That'll be kind of nice. Also kind of nice is this guy. I thought about not storming with him. He can upgrade stuff further. Do want him on the thrones to upgrade them as quickly as possible, to make disrupting a push for the win more difficult for us. And we've also kind of tried to become a little bit more oriented towards the push for the win. Did make an adjustment based, changing what we did, kind of from at the last minute. Instead of summoning, Lamia, we just summoned another Naiad. I think that this is fine enough that we can have 2 Naiads in here and it's not a huge leak. And with 2 Naiads, we can summon stuff every turn. So now we're contacting Lamias, and we're also doing a new spell that we have in Awaken Tree Lord. And so that's going to summon, or Awaken Ivy King, rather. That's going to summon a pretty nice guide to summon Vine Ogres, quite a big chunk of Vine Ogres every turn, which is really going to allow us to kind of flesh out the defense here of this place that we kind of are sinking in. For the research, kind of decided to go construction next. I think we talked about it a little bit, but that's going to be done in 2 turns, I think, is also a thing to note. And then we can go Conjuration 7. I think we'll probably go Alteration 6 into Conjuration, or sorry, Alteration 6 into Conjuration 8, something like that. Especially if we can bink Alteration 6 in 1 turn. We do Cloud Trapeze in here for the assault, and we are prepared for the assault. There is a battle in which we get to see what's in here, and there's only 3 mages in here. So this might be just uber overkill. We just wanted to see what they had. Oh, we should have scripted this guy. We didn't script him to just hold. But we see Divine Blessing coming in. from the Onaki, who is a hero Onaki, Denagug, or however his name's pronounced, and we see looks like they're stacked on top of each other. Iron Skin, Divine Blessing. What we care about is what their script is, but they're not going to use any gems in their script, but they've also not been given any gems. So, and he also didn't move a bunch of guys to defend here, so this should be pretty straightforward for us. I think we're still just going to uber overkill it, though, with what we do here, which is... This is the guys that are storming the castle. We are not going to summon a bunch of fire elementals because we want to be a little bit more judicious with his gems. But with all of our Sorginas, we are going to be summoning storm power after storm comes down and doing living clouds. So this is going to cost 2 gems from us. I think we have all of these on conservative gem usage. We should. We're also going to do Legions of Steel, try and just reduce attrition, extra armor, and the extra armor is especially nice for our guy who's going to be jumping the backline. The Undisciplined guys could also just not assault with these guys. Maybe it's actually better to not storm with these guys and preach instead, because these guys are not going to really provide much of substance, I think, actually. So those were the guys that did not have the horn. Yeah, so let's actually preach instead. Make a slight adjustment. We do like these guys for their siege strength. This is over 100 siege strength, and we like them a lot for pitched battles. But with the really narrow choke point... Well, actually... These guys have a lot of sticks and stones. They can actually throw over. Okay, maybe we will storm with these guys. Fair enough. But continuing kind of through it... these guys are just going to fire on the flyers that drop into our backline and going to be pretty useful. Really hope that this guy doesn't die because we want to use him to upgrade stuff and maybe even give him a piece of equipment so he doesn't die as easily. We are sending our priests in. We have a guy just casting group stone skin on a bunch of guys. I think let's actually just do this instead. We don't need the earth elementals here, and so where's personal iron skin? We don't need the additional earth elementals, and if we do, we want to be casting living earth. Much like we're casting living clouds. We have 3 Sorginas casting living clouds. That's going to be a dozen air elementals. And then this is considerably more troops than they have. The Myru can kind of punch through. And then this guy should have no problem jumping the backline now that he has the flying ointment. So we are casting Howl still. We have a lot of nature gems. This overall gem investment, we're spending 15 gems on this battle or something like this. It's probably overkill. I think there's a chance we get gem baited, where he attacks us with like a medium-sized squad to get us to just use a bunch of gems. We haven't seen him gem bait yet. That would be strong. If we get gem baited, we definitely kill the gem baiting force and made sure to have Pact C have enough to cast regeneration twice. And so our main idea of jumping the backline with this guy will work either way. And so I think that just that'll be enough. And if he decides to crack down with an enormous force and sally out, which I think is possible, he hasn't shown much of a propensity to try and relieve sieges. But if he does this, we will actually be pretty happy to have Storm, as well as all those air elementals. Because in here, in Forest of Idun, we have more of an idea of what's there, and we know that there's a lot of beast bats. We don't have info on it this turn, but we know there's something like 50 beast bats, and they're probably going to be on hold in attacks, so opening with Storm means they won't be able to fly, and so they won't be able to just infect our backline. So, okay. Continuing on, because we started on the Cloud Trapeze, we get more Draconians here. We're going to use them to raid. The Draconians are going to be strong, and again, he can't see any of this, so this is really going to be obnoxious for him. The vision is for Therados only, and again, we kind of talked about it. Don't think this guy's building scouts. We do have the battle in Lish. Let's maybe take a look at this. But yeah, he thinks he's just taking down some 1 to 6 PD provinces with this guy who's not got a script and 20 praying mantises, and then he runs into the trolls. The trolls and actually like a decent amount of PD. And so we summon a water elemental at the outset here, and then we get in here. We summon 2. That's probably excessive. And then the trolls just regenerate. The mantis is really not very good at taking him out, and he just attritions everything basically. Bop bop. That's right. Pop, pop, pop. Drive by with the trolls. In here, we will just build a lab. This is one of our expenditures, or our other expenditure for the turn. With a lab here, we can sail across, and with Construction 7, you know, in terms of the overall plans coming together, we have our eyes on this item in particular. Allows us to sail 200 human-sized units. We use units up to size 7, which is a lot of units, and we can have a few commanders with these and sail over to this pretty easy. But also it'll help for like raiding and just controlling this entire coastline in all directions, because out of Lish, we can attack troll canyons directly, so this is really going to be useful for us. We can't attack over... I don't think we can bridge the gap over here very easily. We could if we own Jade Island. Jade Island would be more useful to have, but okay. We do some of that with the Draconians. We find 4 magical sites underwater here. Olm the Envoy has not been very useful so far, but we do find 3 more Earth Gems and kind of celebrate a little bit of a landmark here. We now have more Earth Gem income than Water Gem income for the first time this game. Unless we had it close to the beginning. Just been having a ton of Water Gem income. Really would much rather have Air and Earth Gems, and so, or even Nature Gems too, so this is pretty nice. Also just a lot of Death Gem income too, and all the other income is starting to come along, so that's pretty good. We get some Blood Hunters, which is good. We need 3 more to be able to empower our next Blood Searcher, and we kind of are setting that up as well this turn with Summon Watcher. Yeah, let's get these boots off of her. With Summon Watcher, we will be able to patrol with the Watcher, and after we empower this guy, we will be able to patrol down all the blood hunting negative effects, and just kind of spread out our blood guys a little bit, and have also a 50 patrol strength guy in the Watcher, who will also be decent for defending the province against sieges and this type of stuff, so is going to be useful. Over here, we also have Scout just hiding and waiting. This is one of the places we have low vision on. That's going to be a pathway to Zox. He's going to go through Star Peaks a lot too. And so this gives us a lot more information, I think. And I don't think he's going to patrol that often. We also see some Onis and kind of transition. And with Yomi, we also see this. Do want to kind of check what items he has. But that's mainly the idea. This is going to be an uninteresting battle. He should have no gem expenditure here. But we're just checking for items. We do have the Tamed Lightning item that we had sent him. I don't think we traded him the Ranger's Boots, so looks like the equipment is kind of similar to before. We had also sent him a Storm Spool. This is another Ring of Tamed Lightning, so he must have the ability to forge at least some of them. And another Storm Spool. We sent him 2 Storm Spools, 1 Ring of Tamed Lightning, and so it looks like he is kitted out for avoiding dying to some of the stuff here. But no gems. No gems this late kind of feels a little bit weird, but this was also just taking out the raid, so a little bit of cleanup from him. The Shikome count is maybe worth kind of just eyeballing. There's 60 Shikomes here. We don't know how many are in here, but they are the primary brunt of the force because they are the first one listed, or at least that's how I understand that to work. We don't find any other magical sites, unfortunately, and we get some assassination attempts, and we get kind of cucked here in Xibalba. There's a stabbing demon. This is, I think, a hero of his, and that's a lot of beast bats to open up. He is using the lifelong protection to get the imps summoned in, and a couple pieces of protection for the guy. And we had bodyguards, but it doesn't matter. And so she just gets wrecked. And she had like 20 to 30 gems worth of equipment, so that is unfortunate. And then we have another one here with the Tewaddle of Night, who we had no chance of beating. But we get to kind of see his equipment. It's the same. He does have 2 death gems now, though. And we have some gems and a Coral Blade, and okay, maybe we get a little bit off. But, yeah, nice little shockwave there. But, yeah, we're not winning. Only Argental, I think, has a chance of killing the Tewaddle of Night, but a little bit less of a chance when he has super high dominion like this. This is, incidentally, his god came back this way. Was not prepared for that. We should have noted, in my head, I noted that the Dominion strength was fading here, and should have kind of thought through that a little bit, what that meant, and noted that his Pretender God had probably left. Because we have limited information, but we can kind of, in the same way that we realize that his Pretender God can't really be infiltrating anywhere here because there was never a pressure on our Dominion, we could have realized that the fact that Abyss was getting pressured by our Dom push was an indication that, yeah. Also, another assassination attempt here. The man wanted to become the legend. They say most assassins are actually just trying to get fame. This guy was surely trying to get fame, to kill the greatest hero in the land, Bazahuan, the Gentle. Certainly not a gentle giant, but this guy cast Stone Skin, and then bonk. Yeah. Good old bonk. Had no chance of beating Bazahuan the Gentle, the greatest hero in all the land. And then we have some battles. I think we'll go through the Xibalba ones first. But a lot of it is just us dodging the PD or running into the PD and this type of stuff, which a lot of the battles have been. This is Tartalos into a bunch of PvD. This is Xibalban raid attempt, which is semi-successful. It's semi-successful because he nabs our commander, so we probably could have scripted a little bit better. We have these guys on stay behind troops with bodyguards. But they land in on the attack rear. The Sinos don't really get in on the guys we would want them in on, and okay, fair enough. We achieve the main goal. It's just annoying that the Beckride champion dies. If there was a guy we could have kept alive, it would have been this guy, so out of the 2 deaths. But we get to preserve the province. He also makes an attempted raid here. And again, these squads, I really love these counter-raid squads that are semi-reinforcing, semi-just counter-raiding, especially with just the big stack of Mouflins, because he just drops in and then he learns what's up. His raiders are way too light for this matchup. Like, stuff that pairs better against Mouflins would be a lot more obnoxious for us to deal with. We also get high hot peaks, but this was just, he had 1 PD here, and we were coming off of Xibalba. And then we were hoping to catch some of his guys here in Rafa Balia, because I was thinking this is the highest income province. This was the most likely he would raid, but he didn't raid it. And so, okay, we're moving everyone else into Avoca, with the idea of just setting up as big an army as possible, and then going back to Xibalba and then assaulting it. We also might pump the brakes a little bit and just wait in this place, so we take less assassination attempts for this squad here, because Xibalba, because we assaulted, we kind of got eyes on some of what they have. They have a ton of mages, but I think that it's possible that these 40 plus an additional huge chunk of extra Draconians, just on attack rear, not even hold attack rear, just attack rear, along with the Manticores, is good enough to just actually kill all the mages. The mages just don't have enough support. And let's actually just view this battle a little bit, just kind of take stuff in a little bit more in terms of what's going on here. He doesn't have anything guarding any of the commanders, and that really changes things. If we just have attack rear, I think a lot of these commanders just get swamped. They just have nothing on them. And this was kind of a little bit of a revelation. They also don't have much gear. We kind of went through and tried to see gear and gems, and they didn't really have a lot set up. Most of their gear is just research, lab monkey type gear, where they're just gonna have more of that. So, a few blood slaves in the mix, which is the women with the whips, or that's not a whip, that's a chain actually. Womp womp. You hate to see it. Slavery in this day and age, except we're also hunting for blood slaves, so never mind, just kidding. It's not a crime if we do it. And so, yeah, just research kind of equipment. The script doesn't seem that crazy, and this is kind of why I felt we should have assaulted, but I'm also kind of okay with the strategy of we deny the income, because he did assassination attempts. He didn't do an assault, or he didn't sally out, so there's still a bunch of guys here, and that's okay for us. In fact, we're actually taking this squad. Every single time he's lifted a siege, he's done it with like a skeleton crew type force, just a Batab and a few guys. I don't think a Badab and a few guys can beat this. So we're actually moving back on with some Mouflin and some Tartalo, with the idea that we will be able to kill what we think he tries to lift the siege with. And then on the following turn, we'll move our actual army from Avoca back in. So that's kind of what we have going on with Xibalba. We also had the Force of Idun, where we just lost this pretty uneventfully. Was not expecting him to take the forces from the Abyss and use it to reinforce here. But he has, and that's also why he's back up to 190 units here. And that's also means that he might view this in fighting the Mighty Pillars as his last stand. And this is one of the reasons why we went for kind of the overkill kind of script for going after Mighty Pillars. If he tries to sally out and crack down from Mighty Pillars or from Forest of Idun, Forest of Idun has a decent chunk of mages. Were there mages in here? No, just the Patab. If he cracks down, we'll have a grand old battle here. But, yeah, we are also shuffling guys around and leaving some things undefended. I think this and this are going to be undefended, and then a bunch of the other provinces will be defended, and then we're attacking this with our trusty Woodhedge Druids plus the Gelatinous Cube army, which is, of course, boring to watch their stuff because it takes forever for them to march. And so that's most of our kind of battles. We also have the battle in Greenwall, which we kind of already covered, where we saw that there's 60 Shikomes, 125 Ko-Onis, some Clockwork Soldiers. Interesting seeing 5, because he summoned 10 a kind of go. And then there was the one battle with Roos, but no other battles with Roos. We will be raiding a little bit in a couple spots. Not too many. We probably should have more stuff cooking. I think what we're trying to do is set up to sail from Ripewood's next turn. I think we have some incoming cavalry. Actually, we're using the cavalry to siege this town. Maybe it's fine if we play it slow and steady. When this army moves, would really love to be able to see what's in it. And we have a little bit of an idea here. I think that this army went from Elkland and it went down this way. It might sit there. Might also come down this way. We could bump it with a scout, which would kill the scout, but then we would get an idea of what's in here, just for the purposes of dropping our god on it. But I don't think we're gonna do that. We'll just play a little bit slow and steady. We'll finish off Airmore, then we'll come siege this, and we'll push through here, and we will be able to start like raising some problems for him in just a moment here. We are just going to patrol this. The patrol strength here is 46. Look to get the unrest down, and then probably go after this place. A little bit curious or worried that he might just slap down a bunch of PD here because his guy's here. Otherwise, we were going to raid it with the wolves this turn, but decided not to. With our Pretender God, we are also casting Forge of the Ancients. Which is not that. We're not forging, we're casting Forge of the Ancients. And we're casting it for 111, so 31 extra gems. I don't know if this much is necessary. I think this also makes us look spooky. I think the ship is sailing on us looking benign. For those of the people in the lobby who still think we're benign, everyone is involved in a conflict at this point. We have the 4-person conflict. Muspelheim might not be, but the 4-person conflict, as far as we can tell, with Yomi, Muspelheim, Tianchi, Ilanka, where it seems like they're piling up on Yomi, but I think there's actually a slight chance that Muspelheim's either got a nap at this point, or has switched sides. And then there is the Death War between Atlantis and Therados, which we have here. And then we are fighting Roos, Airmore, and Xibalba and killing all of them. I think as it stands, those other people are unlikely to come off their conflicts in a very immediate fashion. And so I think it's okay for us to look spooky, and we're also going to be going for this throne, which will make us look spooky. And so if we're going to look spooky, we might as well get some advantages. And in particular, as we kind of discussed, there's a lot of stuff in Construction 7 where we really want the extra construction bonus for it. So we might as well go for it. Let's kind of actually just take a quick look at the spell, because kind of glossed over what the spell actually was. Pressing E for Earth to be able to see everything. Thought about doing Riches from Beneath, but we're doing Forge of the Ancients. All magical items have their gem cost reduced by 20%, and all mages craft items as if they're Master Smith +1. So we're going to craft like a 90 gem thing, right? So we're going to save like close to 20 gems, and so it's going to be very easy for us to make our gem income back. But what this effectively is for us is gem income, and since I think we have 7 hammers, this represents at least 7 gems a turn at an absolute minimum for us, and also kind of changes a little bit of a play pattern, and this may be worth highlighting. We're forging a bunch of stuff with our Gentles. We're forging stuff with our Gentles because they have Forge bonus 4. So they get a 4 discount. So on 5 gem items, they build them for 1. With 20% discount, we will get 1 gem off. Our Basil Juans have Forge bonus 1. So a Basil Juan with a hammer and Forge of the Ancients on, these guys will be able to craft 5 gem items for 1 gem as well. So this frees up our Gentles in one of 2 ways. One, we can deploy our Gentles more into combat and this type of stuff and leave the other stuff to Basil Juan. Or 2, we can forge with the Gentles without the Dwarven Hammers, and be able to forge stuff for 2 gems instead of 1, but this makes it so we don't need hammers. Each one of these hammers is effectively income of 2 gems a turn as well. Just in terms of gem economy, this is allowing us to have a lot of really good items without stuff. So that's kind of what we got going on. We have, in order to cast that spell though, we are using the item from last turn that we had forged, which is now on our Pretender God. We're planning on handing it off. Gives +1 Earth Magic and temporary Earth Gems. We're planning on handing it off, though. And we're planning on handing it off to this guy who's on the move. This is our base 4 Earth Gentle. He has Earth Boots now. With that other item, he will go up to Earth 6. Then he will go up to Earth 7 when he does summon Earth Power. And then the plan with him, and we've kind of been highlighting this a couple of times now, but it's really quite strong. The plan with him is going to be, once we have Living Earth, this makes amount of Earth Elementals equal to the path, so he will cast it once, and then since he's Earth 7, and this is 4 cost, that means that we are 3 over, so it'll be 1 over 4 its normal cost, so instead of 200 fatigue, it'll cost 50 fatigue. So his script is going to look something like Summon Earth Power, Living Earth, Living Earth, Living Earth, and we get 21 Earth Elementals. So this guy's like a one-man army, and we have this army on the move as well. And so these are going to be able to siege the Abyss next turn. So next turn, we are set to siege his 3 remaining forts, and probably knock them down in 1 turn. We're also doing a little bit of a cheeky attack here. With the Kamazat crew and a group of trusty Mouflin, 35 Mouflin. I don't think he's going to patrol out from here. I don't think he's going to attack out from here, and so I think we could just take the Abyss back and deny the recruitment and the mage recruitment and some of the income here. And so I think that that'll be pretty good for us. We have a couple of events. A little bit of extra unrest. Toads falling from the skies. I made a mistake pulling off the patrol, so that unrest is significantly decreasing our income by a couple of hundred, but that is coming in from Xibalba. That's going to be one of his range spells. We get Rafabelia giving us 9 Earth Gems, Packwoods getting some unrest. Not sure what's going on here. Once we can get our Dominion there, we can decrease the unrest in a lot of these places. They're going to be a lot more valuable for us. And then we also had an event in the Hidden Realm. We get a Lightless Lantern. It's going to be a nice item. Could maybe highlight it. It is going to be something we can construct soon. But plus 12 research. So our Gentle with Firepath, we might set him to forge one of these every turn. Really allowing us to kind of ramp up the research. We took a look at it as well. And the amount of guys that we have now, the amount of mages, we have 130 mages, and with all the items we have, they probably average around 16 research a turn, 15, something like this. We have a lot of mages not researching, but that is part of why we can support like 1k, and we take a look at Xibalba, and Xibalba's got like 15-20 mages. I expressed concern several turns ago that we're behind on research. I actually think we're just probably really far ahead on research now that we think about the economy and the amount of mages we're recruiting a turn, and the fact that in the last few turns we've gone from like 400 research to like 1,000 or something. This ramp up, I think, is not possible for most other countries because we have so many guys forging research equipment and then just a ton of new research guys every turn that can manage to utilize it. Really do think that that's pretty good for us. And then we have updates on a bunch of things and a new famous hero, kind of nicely rolled, that we get precision on this guy. We'll maybe give him a bow or a crossbow or something and he can be useful, but I think that's mostly the turn for us. We're gonna have 2 big assaults, call an ambulance, but call it for our enemies, because I think we finish off Airmore. We could maybe highlight what we're attacking with. We're assaulting with not the Mouflin squads, and just this squad, which I think is probably enough to do it on its own, but also putting these Gentils, I hope, far enough in back that the Sorgina actually does her script on them, and that we could actually get in on Airmore because we don't have the item for that. We also are bringing a force down from here to apply the siege strength in Summer Edge, but we know there's no mages in Summer Edge. We probably just assault it with these 2. That should be enough, because no one can slay Basil Juan. The kill count, for those of you who care, is up to 298. Absolute killer. Alright, we have turn 52 here, and we trade some water gems to Atlantis because of Atlantis' situation, and as it stands, elongated conflict between the 2 generally benefits us. I think that Theranos has the upper hand still, but this is also just... The next battle that happens probably is such that whoever wins this is going to win the underwater type of thing. And so I do think it's pretty important. We did talk a little bit about strategy, and trying to figure out a way to defend against what's going on here. I don't want to show the screenshot of what is underwater, but basically it's like 20-ish mages / thugs fully kitted out with items on the side of Theranos. And they have like 4 mages with a ton of water and or earth gems. I'm just trying to figure out what he could be on. If he could have what is it, Conjuration 7 for the Living Earth and Living Water here. I think that that's unlikely. I think maybe he has Alteration 6 and he's got some big kind of plans, but I think that things are actually looking really good for Atlantis. A prolonged conflict benefits us, but if someone's going to win, we would prefer Atlantis to win anyways. Beyond, like, the consideration that we've been having more discussions with Atlantis and we're generally more friendly with them, Theranos has a lot of land that is, like, somewhat opportunistic for us, that they probably can't defend very well. They have weird, long, squiggly supply lines, and they're in our way in a lot of spots. Specifically, Witch's Copse, we would like to be able to trace a path to, and we're kind of annoyed when Faldenberg was taken. And so, whatever happens here is pretty decisive and important for kind of the 3 conflicts that are brewing. And so, I think what Atlantis, or what Theranos should do, is march on to Atlantis. They haven't shown this type of move, but they should just march on to Atlantis and go after Atlantis instead, which is like kind of stuff that we've been doing over here in Xibalba. And if they do that, I think that Theranos is cooked, or I think Atlantis is kind of cooked. They're going to lose their capital, and then from there, Theranos can just like spread out and leave enough to siege stuff, and just a lot of this backline stuff is not really well defended from Atlantis. So attacking into their strength doesn't make much sense. You should just avoid their strength. Even if your strength beats their strength, you can... I mean, I suppose you could kind of turn it into a little bit of a base race, but people generally won't like that type of thing, and also losing your capital is a big deal. Like, losing your cap turns and the cap is like relatively not defended. So that's kind of what's going on over there. We do see push continuing to happen from Yomi over here. And generally speaking, these three conflicts, the longer the two that we are not involved in are, the better. There's the kind of four-person conflict, Muspelheim, Yomi, Tianqi, and Lanka here, where they are all dogpiling Yomi, but Yomi appears to be winning, although not super decisively. And then the long-standing stalemate between Theranos and Atlantis, and everyone else we're attacking and we're pushing into. And so we also don't mind getting more air gems. This will be nice. We empower our commander in death, which is actually really nice, because at the same time we are finishing, at the same time we also did Forge of the Ancients with Unga Bunga, and so with this death guy we can now kind of forge some pretty good items. And so, not casting. We can now forge death items, and specifically with the World Global Enchantment, it's giving us +1 to levels, so even though this is Death Magic 2 item, we can forge it, and since we get a 20% discount, this is 2 gems off, plus the hammer, plus the gentle bonus, we're forging a horror helmet for 4. And we're doing that to kind of kit out a guy who we are planning on making here, which is we are summoning a golem, which can be a very potent thug, and specifically you can teleport with him, and I think that we maybe look to summon 1 to 2 golems and kit them out really well, because they can teleport in with Unga Bunga, and as kind of been thinking through the strategy, I think we can actually go for all the thrones without Unga Bunga. We just need a we have one of these guys, the Bishop Fish. We have a Bishop Fish here. When we give the Bishop Fish this, he'll get air breathing. Right here, the Shambler Skin Armor, which will allow him to come onto land. We just summon a Bishop Fish here, and then we empower a Prophet over here somewhere. And so all of that together will allow Unga Bunga to just play the role of kind of trouble fixing. And or we could have him go for a 4th throne all at the same time, because we can teleport onto this. But I think that just troubleshooting might be kind of better for him, but to the extent that this is the strategy, the golem will be useful, and also we could just drop the golem in on Roos, and he's not been showing any sort of answers to some of the questions we've been posing him. Also coming up from Roos, we have kind of the movement out of the Gentles. I think the Gentles in general we're going to have on the move, but we have this Gentle with Nature Magic 2. He's going to now be able to forge Nature Magic 3 items, but all of our Gentles can now forge Nature Magic 2 items. And this guy can cast Personal Regeneration without any gem support. And so we are also kind of creating some gear for him to be a solo operator. And having 2 solo operators that can just wipe out the Russ armies unless they make adjustments. Just kind of wading through here, while we also have multiple raiding squads. We have, this Draconian with a crew of Draconians. He's linking up with this guy, who also has some Draconians. We'll probably have the bird lead all the troops, and the Draconian just sit somewhere and summon, probably in Feral Woods. And then we also we'll have the troll coming through. This guy has Water Lens for a free gem. He earns a gem every turn, and so he can cast Living Water or the summon a bunch of water elementals thing every single turn without fail. And so he can raid through here and maybe even go to White Harbor. And so have a lot of this closing in on Roos, which is good because Roos is kind of sitting on the 2 thrones, or is blocking the avenue of the 2 thrones. We awakened some Vinemen. We also have a little bit of a look at the Lamias. These are not, they have, effectively 30 HP because they shape change into Black Serpents, which have a bunch of regeneration, which is pretty solid. If we also give Gift of Water Breathing, the fact that they have Swimming actually means that they are reasonable in combat underwater, and also they have Life Drain. So even though they're not, the flashiest unit necessarily, they also have poison resistance and regeneration, which fits nicely with our strategy for Foul Vapors. Even though they're not the flashiest, if we ever get into a conflict with Theranos, if we have 100 of these guys, I think that they do pretty well against the Spectres, because the Spectres are ethereal, which is bad against the magical weapons. So this is something we're kind of into. Also, this if I'm Therados and I'm seeing Lamias starting to get summoned here, I kind of raise an eyebrow a little bit, but it makes sense because we're fighting Roos, but maybe I'd be a little bit concerned, which makes some sense because I would be a little bit concerned. We're also, to that end, summoning these cubes. Kind of realized this in discussions with Atlantis, that this unit is also just seems really good against what Therados is doing, because I'm pretty sure we can just swallow the Malaya whole, and so he's thugging out these size 3 units that could just get trampled over by these, and swallowed, and also Acid Touch, magical weapon. It also does Acid, which I believe has the ability to kind of give them rusty equipment, this type of stuff, even if it doesn't kill them. And these things are kind of squishy, but they're also stealthy, and so decent raiders, and etc. And probably just summon one of these every single turn from now on, and build up a little bit of something in Feral Woods. But also, this is one of a really good raid target for someone else, especially if we get Nap cancelled with Therados or something like this. We haven't seen anything too crazy from Roos. Roos could drop in here. It's very vulnerable because we just have a ton of mages here. This is like an enormous amount of gold without that much protection. And so if we're going to park some units here for like long-term reasons, parking a bunch of gelatinous cubes in Feral Woods is going to be nice. Also, they are stealthy, so people won't see them even if we're accumulating them. We did cast Forge of the Ancients, which is going to appear now in the global enchantments. We are the only one. This looks kind of spooky. It helps our ability to forge. I think it's going to save us more gems a turn than like 20, and also allow us to boost stuff, especially with Construction 7 coming in. I think what we're going to go for next is Alteration 6 as well, and then maybe Conjuration 8. But Alteration 6, we will get Group Iron Skin, which will be kind of nice, and then maybe we actually continue for Marble Warriors. Marble Warriors in particular would be effective against really, really nice on the Lamias against this throne. And we're planning on getting a Gentle up over here anyways, or multiple Gentles up over here that can kind of work their way down. And maybe if they get a sailing ship out of here, can just pass through, or a Ring of Water Breathing, something like this, can just pass through from here and cast Marble Warriors for the entire army. So I think I like that idea, actually. Because we just need to keep the... We're gonna have, like, this is the same type of defense that we had at the other throne we failed to take. But we don't want protection from... or we don't want lightning susceptibility. Cold susceptibility is kind of fine, though. And this is area of effect 20, so maybe kind of cast it a couple times with a Gentle, something like this, rather than having the Gentles try and jump the backline versus Zeus, who like has a really high lightning damage attack, so maybe not ideal. Although it has really low accuracy, so not as worried about it if it's from far range. Although once he's in melee, I don't think he uses it as much. We get the Ivy King too. Ivy King has Ivy Lord 3. And so when we summon Vine Ogres, instead of getting 3, we'll get 6. And so that's kind of one of the big ideas here. He can also cast pretty good nature magic, and he's also a poor amphibian. So we can take him underwater with us without needing to get him additional stuff. And so that means we can kind of pass through here on our way to the throne. We might try and forge an item or two that makes it look like our army's smaller, because I think if we're in Silent Ocean, it looks like we're maybe moving troops around to attack Roos in another spot. We kind of don't want to give up the game, and we want to hit 3 thrones at once. So that's going to be something that we're doing. We also summoned a Watcher here. Don't have a mage kind of available for using the Watcher to patrol, but this guy will be available next turn when we finish the Palisade, but gives it much higher patrol strength with that precision, patrol strength of over 50, and so just that alone will allow us to kind of catch things out. And then this guy is empowering in blood this turn. Very nice for us. We find a magical site in here. This guy has not found very many magical sites, but this is quite nice for us. But more importantly, we find a magical site in Relothia. Now, unfortunately, in Relothia, the Sorgina gets killed by the assassin, and we maybe could have been a little bit more careful about this. But if only she just lightning bolted him. Oh, she did. If only she just didn't die to the assassin. So that's annoying, but kind of hard to be upset because this is one of the very best sites we could find. 5 gems and allows recruitment of this guy, Adept of the Silver Order, who's going to help us to break into fire. In the spot, we have the Crystal Order guys, but they're all the way across the map, and so we're going to be able to search for fire gems a lot better here. We're going to build up a fort here, definitely, so that we can build these guys faster. They've started to become more of a priority. I think that also this is the first turn where we're not recruiting shamans everywhere we can. We're starting to get to the point where we have too much expenditure on new commanders we have so many places we can recruit them out of that we no longer need to utilize all of them, and we don't have enough income to support the maintenance of all the commanders, specifically the mages. But you can see here it's maybe like 1,000 in mage kind of maintenance, and like not as much in troops, and so this is a quality problem, or a high, like it's a nice problem to have, and so we'll be pulling back as we need to. We'll be pulling back on shaman recruitment in areas where we don't think we're going to need more units, and in particular the type of shamans we're looking for and look to keep recruiting are going to be the ones that are the 2 earth ones, will generally be kind of the good performing ones. But things have shifted up a little bit on that front as well here. We get some blood slaves, continuing to get blood slaves in places that we have some amount of patrol. It looks like this might not be enough patrol. Wow, even with this watcher that we have here. That is a bit unfortunate. I think that, yeah, this will probably, we'll probably be able to make an adjustment there, but also that's 2 blood hunters fighting blood slaves. They're not going to have 2 find every single turn, and so we'll probably keep stuff low enough. We get some marches and deaths and this type of stuff, and then we get quite a big chunk of battles. Let's kind of get into them. So we have a few battles with Xibalba and a few assassination attempts as well. In the Abyss, he's just defending with 1 PD, doesn't increase the PD, and so we get to deny this with Camazot, which was, we're risking this going into something substantive because it's not going to beat anything substantive, but that'll be fine. And then coming up from here, we have this squad, which is pretty potent, given that it's only got like 100 guys. We have, in the front line, a ton of Bebrix guards. A lot of our other forces at this point have, like, attritioned out the Bebrix guards, and we only have Beckrite heavy infantries, but the Bebrix guards are significantly better because they're taking our bless. And then we have, in the back line, some Myru warriors, and also Trogs. We should have been a little bit more proactive about Trogs. I think Trogs are good for assaulting, specifically because they have trample, and so they can wade through stuff. Although his scorpions, the big old ones, they're big, and they're size 7, so we can't actually trample over them. So maybe not good against him in the abstract. We also have some, and then Disciplined Crew featuring pretty big HP soaks from the cave crabs. These things have decent morale, so even if the Undisciplined squad routes, they'll probably be in pretty good shape. But the real kind of, the real hope and dream here is this 6 Earth Magic guy. +1 from the boots, we've talked about this, +1 from the Bloodstone. When he casts Summon Earth Power, he's going to get 14, or he's going to cast it twice with his script, Living Earth, Summon Earth Power, Living Earth. He's going to get 14 mages, and then he's going to Personal Irons, quick himself, and then attack flyers. Just look to have him kind of clear out the riffraff and protect our other kind of commanders here. But he's coming on up for the Abyss. We have the same squad heading over to Forest of Idun. I think we make an adjustment here, though. And we'll reflect on this a little bit, but I think that Paxti could actually come down here, or rip Paxti. We'll never forget. But we don't... Xibalba's just lost if he loses Xibalba, and we're going to assault Xibalba next turn. And so we have an idea that we move Paxti down, and also maybe we also move down these Sorginas. I'll take some time to reflect on this before we pass the turn, but the rest of the squad is moving up to the Forests of Idun. Can we actually move this entire squad? So all these guys are moving, right? Can we move this entire squad down here? No, we can't. Okay, so we do have the option with a few, though. The thing is we have here these guys who are flyers without summon storm power. These guys are flyers, but they also have decent combat speed. Combat speed here is not great, but we're gonna have these guys. They're holding attack rear right now. When we assault, they're just gonna attack rear, and if they just attack rear, we can actually do this and then summon storm power. And we kind of looked up some information and found out that your guys need to be visible in order for them to be assassination bait. So we have all these scouts that are going to be moving normally, just in case he tries an assassination attempt. And then I think we might have, at the very least, Paxley come down, but we might have more than that. In here, we do have the, kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, the big battle. We take our first fort off of Xibalba. It's kind of crazy to think that we've, like, reduced them to the position they're in without having taken a fort, but there's not a whole lot here. There's this guy who's going to kind of buff everything, and then we have a bunch of these scorpions, and the scorpions, we're kind of realizing with the size 7 and the fact that they have a ton of life and decent protection, they're really good at holding the gap. So we'll see how this shakes out, but we are going to have a big script here with the summoning of elementals and also the jumping of the backline. So we can see Storm goes off, and so now stuff cannot fly unless it has the correct thing. What is it? Storm immunity. Can fly even during storms. So that is courtesy of kind of the unique item for us. Gives us the ability to not get bricked by storm as kind of a defensive thing. There goes off Howl. Also realizing that Howl Howl doesn't summon anything inside the fort, which kind of makes sense. I wasn't 100% sure how that works, but that makes Howl a lot worse. And then we have summon storm power coming in from all these Sorginas. They're self-buffing, and then in a second here, the Gentle will jump the back line, or we see them all prepping Living Clouds. 1, 2, 3. And when this goes off, that's going to be a lot of... there we go. We're going to have a total of 12 of these bad boys. And they're going to jump in. I wish that they jumped the backline. They don't jump the backline. They just kind of get in there. But it's kind of okay, too, because they're going to kill a lot of the guys on the wall. Also, Storm, precision reduced by half, 50% of missiles lost. This is great for resisting kind of what's going on here in terms of his guys that can fire off the front. And so this is kind of what's going on. And we get a little bit of a zoomed out thing, and let's kind of make this a little bit less ambiguous. These guys get to kind of brick up the backline, at least to some extent. The Sorginas. And then we have soon to be coming in. Our Gentle should be finishing his script in just a second here, and he does. And he just instantly starts bopping. Oh, he doesn't kill something instantly. Does this guy have... That's crazy this guy lived. He has negative hit points, but that's because he has a bless that allows him to live. Alright, alright, alright. I see you. There we go. Now you're dead. And so, the Gentles kind of eviscerate the backline. The Air Elementals kind of getting in a little bit into the back, which is nice. But these Scorpions are really annoying. And I'm thinking that we actually should have tried to assault forts faster, because he's gotten to summon so many Scorpions. He didn't really have that many Scorpions before, and we just, like, let him summon a ton of Scorpions. So I think that's a little bit of a skill issue / knowledge gap there. But we see on the top of the wall now, flying up there, is the Air Elementals. So that's really nice that they're capable of doing that. The Air Elementals, of course, have storm immunity, so they themselves... Oh, clicking on that square is difficult. But they do have storm immunity. Let's take a look here. So they can fly during storms as well. As can the Gentle. The Gentle finished up the backline stuff, for the most part, I guess. And is just getting in on the other stuff. And he clears it out pretty quick. Notably, Mace of Eruption is going to help a lot with the Skelly spam guys. We also just exposed to him what our plays are. And he now kind of understands what we're doing here. But, yeah. This should be decent for us, and now he's routing, so it's all over. Gentle gets in some cracks at the back, but we basically suffer no attrition. We suffer the attrition in the ghouls, which was not a unit we care about, and we don't care about the Beckride Hunters. We care about the Bebrix Guards, but we only lose 6 of them, and he loses everything. So, really, really rough for him. This here, get in with no attrition on his province defense, and then head back. We head back, not sneaking, but moving, because if he comes out to raid High Peaks, we want to have a little bit of a rumble. High Peaks, we have an assassination attempt. He is really high-rolling with his assassination attempts, basically getting the most valuable mage every single time, which is a little bit obnoxious, but she's going to buff herself up and then get in there, which was a little bit surprised to see that approach, but she also has a lot of hit points and is... we're not trying to get her in there, but she's actually decent if we get her in there, so that's kind of nice for us. And then we have this battle in Xibalba. This goes really poorly. In retrospect, maybe we should have only sent one group of the Tartalos, but we just get bricked on his guys. Although, we might have prevented him from marching out. Maybe that's a kind of good idea. Our idea was that we just get in on him with this, assuming that he's not actually going to sally out. And he sallies out, and the Scorpions are just way better than our units. We have a bunch of free spawn Mouflins that are kind of useless. And the mage he uses is pretty strong mage here. This is, I think, one of his heroes. Got Fire Magic 5 or 3, and then also the other stuff. Notably, we didn't see him take any gems with him. But okay. That's kind of what we have. We just kind of punted. And was lamenting it because we actually don't have enough food in this province to support it. We have supply usage just slightly over our supplies. I thought we were good enough, but if we had a little bit more Mouflin, we would be in better shape. Unfortunate. But we have set up this entire squad now. We are splitting the Draconians into 3 squads. The reason why we're splitting stuff up into multiple squads in so many spots is if he gets a successful assassination attempt off, when we are going to fight, or when we are assaulting, or when we are moving, then the squad will get dropped. And so by having redundant squads, this makes the assassinations less disruptive. We're also heading in from with this guy who's going to have Living Earth, so we will get some elementals. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards moving all the Sorginas down to Xibalba. Because I think that we can sit on Forest of Idun, actually, and then if he wants to come out and face the Howl, he can, and then if we don't necessarily need to assault Forest of Idun next turn, which was our initial thought when we were doing some of this movement, but I think that we just absolutely positively want the Xibalba thing to be successful, and I think he's just done if it's not successful, or if it is successful, so we will need to move this squad over a little bit. Or figure out some faster units to be bodyguards. I think what we'll do is we'll come back and go through this, but set Myru warriors as bodyguards to the Sorginas, because the Myru warriors will be able to move a little bit more, so we will do that. And that's kind of what's going on with the Xibalba. We have a couple other things. We're moving her over to start site searching, getting ahead of ourselves, claiming victory before it's had. And then we also have this little battle here where we took back the fort. Haven't really looked at this, don't think it's too impactful, but maybe a little bit interesting to see how these guys roll and how they buff. They should be buffing their square, so yeah, larger and moss body. So when these guys are stacked on top of each other, they apply a lot of health into the square, and 2 40 life guys with, okay, they don't have a high attack score, but they have pretty high protection. They're going to cast Personal Iron Skin. They haven't cast it yet. These guys are going to be able to do pretty well. Now the Myru themselves can also do pretty well because they have 34 attack bonks, or 34 life bonks. These guys don't have a ton of prot. They do have regeneration, but kind of end up getting into it mostly with just the Myrus, which is fine because we just really don't want our mages to die. And the mages kind of polish off the end of that little bit of an exchange there. Nice euphemism for violence. Then we have kind of what's going on over here. Not a lot of big battles other than the one in Airmore, and it goes sideways again. It goes sideways, but it's an okay type of sideways because it's a we made significant progress type of sideways. I thought we could bust through with this. I thought it would be enough. He hits us with a really nasty evocation here at the start of the battle, but we've kind of already shown our script and what we're kind of doing. He has a fire elemental, they let loose these guys, which kind of gum up the works, and then yikes. I think there's another really big fire evocation, but specifically he's got some big fire mages that are a little bit obnoxious, that are dropping down fire from the sky, and also these guys are tough to kill. They are more powerful in high magic areas, 19 protection, so even if they do get hit, it's an issue. They do a ton of damage, and they're ethereal, so when we hit them, only 1/4 of the time it goes through, and they have high attack and defense, so they're very, very monstrous as an issue. And then these guys have really high life and regeneration. Not a lot of protection, so they're not, like, super tanky, but that will be kind of how things work. Our Gentles do successfully get in the backline, though. They don't really focus down what we want. This guy is attacking the rear, but he's not really attacking the rear as well as we would like. He does get in on one of the augers, but then we see the kind of nastiness that we had seen before, where this guy is going to get hit by... What's his fatigue? It's not too high. It's in decent shape. He does get out of here alive, or one of them does. We lose a Myru here, but the salamanders are gumming things up a little bit, as will eventually we get kind of imprisoned by some of the stuff. And okay, I guess if the units are kind of peeling back, this is opening it up for us, but we don't actually have enough to push through the sea trolls, and so it really is on our Gentles. I could have sworn, yeah, there's that spell. I forget what it's called, Bonds of Fire. So that debilitates the Gentle for some time. This Gentle, this isn't Basil Juan with like 5 quickness, so he's really not going to achieve kind of the result we want the entirety of the time. It looks like he may have retreated. And okay, we're getting them down, but we've now lost an enormous amount of HP pool, so we're probably going to be retreating in just a second here, or already some of our guys have retreated. We do kill an Augur right there, which is kind of nice. I know that we kill the Emperor. I just can't remember where it happens. Oh, there we go, Bop. That's how we wanted it to open. The Emperor has a lot of high path magics, and this guy has 99 morale. Oh, he's still gonna rout. And unfortunately, this guy doesn't make it when he routs. He's out, and he dies in the routing. So we do lose a Gentle here. But he's left with 7 guys and a whole lot less mages to summon stuff with. So he's only left with an Augur Elder. And to be fair, that Augur Elder can probably summon a Flame Spirit, which is a little bit annoying. And a couple Augurs. So the next one should be a lot better. And we're going to try it again. That's kind of what's happening there. Also shuffling around some troops. Trying to get a little bit of siege strength in here. So that we can gain progress. This is in Summer Edge. I don't think we are currently... we are making progress in Summer Edge. It's going to take some time to break it down, but this is a pretty low-level fort, and we'll assault with just Basil Juan, Solo Bolo, when that kind of comes up. And then here we have just a raid that is productive into 1 PD with Draconian Chief. Not going to be too big a deal. We are pushing forward a bunch of other raids this turn, where we are raiding, or we're taking this, Iron Peaks. Also, tracing through here is really valuable, because then we get all the gold from these locations we're taking, which otherwise aren't providing us income, because they're not connected to a fort. We could summon a fort in Silent Ocean, though. This is kind of on the list of things that we could do with these gals. I think we have to give them a Thistle Mace, but then I believe it's Nature 4 Water 1 or Water 4 Nature 1 to summon these. Either way, we can sort that out. But we are also going to be coming in on this. Looks like he's decided to site search with his Son of Heaven. I realized after the fact that this Son of Heaven actually retreated from the Mantis fight. But we're hoping that if he's going to move out of force, he's going to move it out this way. And so we're risking our wolves to try and go for that. Do want to kind of keep up the pressure a little bit. think we're kind of relaxing a little bit on this front too much. Maybe we should be dropping in with Sorginas and summoning elementals and just kind of running over him, something like this. But that's kind of what's going up in the north. We do have a couple of other battles that we get a sight of. It's nothing too crazy, a little bit of raiding here. These guys are not stealthy, so he just like raw dog walked him out from Forest of Gun. And so he's got mannequins and Koonis and this type of stuff though, so I imagine that that gets taken back. We have Battle of Curtain Wall, we already covered that. There is a battle here in Valrest where the mermen, I don't know why you don't just retreat the Earth Gnome mermen at some point. Maybe they were coming in this turn, but if you have, I forget who owned this location. Yomi attacked Muspelheim. Don't you see that there's Muspel Jarls here? I guess the Muspel Jarls were coming in the same turn he tried to raid with this squad, and that's what happened there. The Muspel Jarls, as far as we could tell, Yomi is still 3v1. You should really try and piece out Muspelheim, because Tianchi and Lanka, I think, are friends to the end. But these guys coming in is going to put a damper on things, whereas otherwise it does look like Lanka's like getting pushed to their capital, right? And this guy is also, Tianchi is not that deep in, so longer supply lines for Yomi. Yomi's cap is here, so this is also another factor, is he has several turns moving through to get to Lanka, and if he doesn't have these forts, like, supporting this push, that means really long lines will make it so that these guys can have more turns of gem accumulation, gold accumulation, and converting that into power, and this type of thing. I think that we got all the battles. Copper Canyons we did get, yeah. So, there's a message from Airmore. The war against, we killed their god, they will blah blah blah. This is what the AI says. They say, screw you, man, we will continue to fight. And then we have a few events. During the seasonal offering of Spirit Earth, one of them has appeared. I don't know what that means. And we kind of tried to take a look around. I didn't see any units. One of the spirits has arrived. I don't know if that means more Dominion. We're up at Dominion strength 10. Incidentally, we are getting 24 temple checks a turn, so our Dominion's going to start pushing really far. We have converted 38 provinces currently. We get a few Earth Gems. Another event in Terrene. We get Death 1, which is kind of whatever. And then we get the Bazahuan is wounded. Oh, maybe this is what happened? Okay. He runs into our patrolling force. We are patrolling it to make sure we have the income, 550 income. If we get hit with raiding spells or spells that increase our unrest, it's going to cause issues for us, and Xibalba seems to be throwing them out every turn. But something about, we have like whittled down and worn down Xibalba. I think that they basically are completely out of gems is another factor, because they don't have gems on guys. They don't seem to have scripts for that involve gems. They're just summoning as much as they can and doing as many spells as they can, but they're completely tapped out. And so that's kind of most of what we have going on here. A bunch of patrols. We do have some starving people, and oh, our first terrain change. This is also maybe substantive. This changes to a forest. It was a plains before. My understanding is if you had one order when you would get the change, or per the wiki, if you have one order when you get the change, it changes to farmland instead. We have one order. I want to ask what gives, but okay, maybe the forest will change into a farmland? I don't think so, though. So, as far as terrain goes, forests are worse, but we also have 1% population growth, so there is that there. And that's, I think, going to be the turn for us, for the most part. Next turn will maybe be the death of Xibalba. It's maybe 2 turns out. But I think if we assault Xibalba and take it down, that almost certainly the player will AI out. All of his mages are here. And so I think we're going to bring as much to bear there as possible and just look to hold the forests of Idun. And if he wants to come out with his 120 units and fight us with a howl down, and also this mage, kind of doing his thing, then he can. We'll also have a bunch of buffs and this type of stuff, so that'll be good. We could move this guy over too. I think we'll keep this guy with the army, because I think this guy's set to do temper Legions of Steel, and we do want someone doing that, so yeah. Maybe let's talk through kind of what we're doing with our forging, because things are going to shift up a bit. Only 10 cost plus items for the Gentles, and I think we're going to be forging a hammer every turn for some time. The hammers only cost us 4 gems to forge, and they will save us 2 gems a turn, and so we're going to churn through and end up forging a lot more, but a lot less with Gentles and a lot more with Baz of Juan. Shout out to the loud car outside. We're also forging an item we haven't forged yet, Boots of Stone. Stone Skin, this is going to be for the golem that we are kind of summoning, because he wants to operate alone, and he doesn't have any earth magic, so he can't buff himself in that way. And then forging a Vine Shield, which is going to be good for raiding, again, another 10 gem cost item reduced to 4 in terms of how things are going. And we are forging... because we want one of our Gentles to operate kind of solo bolo, we're forging another Flying Ointment. We'll probably continue to forge these at a decent clip, but the Flying Ointment, we get a 3 gem discount from the enchantment we used, and another 2 from the hammer, so this is only costing us 10 gems. Still going to be pretty heavy on the air gems. We're just generally hurting for air gems, which is really nice that we've gotten so many trades for them. Have a ton of Astral. We're going to probably burn a lot of that into next turn. But I think that's going to conclude the episode here. I've been a little bit inconsistent about outroing them, but I think the theme here really is us just getting speed bumped a whole bunch. And that next episode, almost certainly both Xibalba and Airmore die. Every last son of Airmore will die. Rome must burn. And so he's got like nothing left here. He doesn't have his Pretender. He's going to start getting Dom pushed. And then this is an absolutely enormous force that we have organized to push Xibalba here, where we have, you know, quite a few cap-only mages. I think he only gets 2 assassinations a turn, and an enormous squad here, and then so many scouts to try and bait the assassinations, but we're also jumping in the backline, and then... we're jumping in the backline with these guys, and then jumping in the backline afterwards with a Gentil, and then the air elementals will hit whatever's available, either the backline or otherwise, and he only has 60 units. And we're bringing, you know, what is this, 280 units. And these aren't as chaffy as some of the other squads that we've led, although this is just pure chaff. This is, you know, including stuff like these guys who are 25 gold dudes. These guys are going to be better than his Scorpions just solo. They're not better than his Sacred Scorpions. And then we have the Draconians, 45 HP. They get in the backline, they do work. And then we also have Manticores, which are very expensive primos. That are going to have 3 attacks and fear, and his stuff has low on the morale, his mages. They have like 9 morale or this type of thing, so I think the fear will also do pretty well, and the Draconians kind of provide a bit of coverage for them, although this is the highest HP unit, so this will get targeted first. All the Manticores might die, but this is the biggest arrow we've seen so far, so I'm thinking that Xibalba doesn't really have a way out for this. And we also kind of saved up for our timing of Conjuration 7, where we're getting to cast Living Earth and Storm and all this in such a way that I don't think he has very much counterplay. I don't think he has gems. We've just kind of squeezed him out. And so should be the end of him next episode. YouTube algorithm stuff, and have a good one. Alright, we have turn 53 here, and it's mainly kind of a prep turn more than anything else. I think the biggest question here for us is what we're doing after Alteration 6, because we will be getting Alteration 6 this turn. Just set it up so that we would just barely pip it, and we can either go for Conjuration 8, which I think is reasonable, because I think we'll beat everyone else to Conjuration 8 at this point. Was asking around a little bit diplomatically, and trying to figure out where people were at in terms of the research, without being too obvious about it. Both oblique conversations with Atlantis about Therados, and conversation this turn with Lanka about Yomi. And although us revealing that we had Construction 7 was maybe a leak, which we did to Lanka, but we wanted to send them items, and so we wanted to know that we could send those items. But I don't know how valuable... There's only 3 of each of the elemental royalty. They're very strong. I don't know how valuable getting there first and being the one to grab them is. And that would be kind of the idea there. But there's maybe an argument for us going Alteration 8, because Wizard Tower would actually be pretty useful for when we rush the thrones, because we can't get retaliated on. Everyone has a nap with us, except for Atlantis, so I don't think this is as much of a consideration, but at the same time, still would like Oaken Army to give the entire battlefield 7 natural protection, which would make our Lamia, which we have summoned quite a few of at this point, quite a bit stronger. But only +1 if it's already 9 or higher, so like, if we bring a lot of stuff that already has high natural protection, it's not going to be very useful in that one throne battle. But I think it'll probably be pretty solid. But this is... We're not in danger of having really big fights where we really need a big swing either, with the exception of this throne battle that we have coming up. That the throne battle that is more in question, which is going for this one. At the same time, also, this seems to be recovering more units. I don't know the exact mechanics. It seemed for a long time it was just depleted, but it seems like it's slowly getting back up there. But it used to have like 3, or actually I think it used to have like 400 to 600 units, so still just debilitated. But okay, so the question is, what do we go for? I don't really know the answer. I've been hemming and hawing back and forth over this, and to some extent I'm still hemming and hawing. I think we'll just go Conjuration 8, just because if we don't take the thrones, I think Conjuration 8 is better, and if we do take the thrones, the context in which Alteration is better is a context in which everyone, coalitions us, and it would actually be useful for us to have Wizard's Tower, and I don't think that seems to be, based on the way we're talking with people, that doesn't seem to be a likely thing to be happening. Okay, we cast a bunch of summons. You can see we summon more Lamias. In fact, now we have at this point quite a few Lamias, and with this force, we are marching into Lish. And at the same time, we are marching back to Lish with the lion's share of the Draconians from here. The idea is, I think there's a decent chance he attacks into here from Lish, and we want to be ready to respond very quickly to any sort of attack, or if there's an attack that's coming down on a province we care about and it's adjacent, then we kind of have to do something about it immediately. If there's an attack coming from Roos and it's going to Lish, we will get to see a big fat army in Nam, and we will be able to make adjustments, but we won't be able to from Jade Island, and maybe we see him move some a little bit down. Also notably, this guy, what's the word, he missed his turn, so he let the AI control, so this caused some of the PD to be more well organized, and when the AI takes over for him, this is like adds a layer of unpredictability, but it's probably overall net good, unless he gets the free money that the AI gets, or the extra PD that the AI gets for free. Maybe that's part of the strategy. We did summon the Golem. We do have like the equipment lined up for the Golem. It's all down here. The Fear Helmet. Some sort of AoE attacking thing. Maze of Eruption works for us. The Vine Shield to give him some more survivability. Bracers of Protection. And Stone Skin Boots. But didn't want to send him out this turn, or couldn't send him out this turn. We're going to send him out with a teleport. He needs to be Astral 3. And for that, we want the Meteoric coin for him. And we want to use the Meteoric coin this turn. And we want to use it to forge the Ring of Wizardry. For us, this is almost like a global. 80 Astral Gems gives +1 to any magical path. And so this is going to allow us to break into different summons very easily, because we now have a universal booster, allows us to forge items very easily, this type of stuff. This is for us like effectively like a global spell, but it's going to cost for us quite a bit less. It's going to cost 20% less. And so this is nice. It's going to be 18 gem discount. So this turn, the amount of gems we are saving as a consequence of our global Forge of the Ancients is going to be like 50 gems or something, 40 gems. In that ballpark, because we're forging a bunch of items for Lanka. We can maybe take a quick look at the items we're forging for Lanka. Several tier 7 items. And we did have a discussion with Lanka a little bit. But I think the fact that we have this power spike is not necessarily revealed to other people, but we are forging one of these. He wants to put together a big thug, it looks like. We are forging a helmet. And then we are forging plate mail, but it's an early version plate mail. And then one other thing. Yeah, Boots of Quickness. And so this is going to give him a very nice little thug for him to put together. I guess we maybe talk about that a little bit now. We messaged Lanka and was like, hey, do you need anything? Can we help? Because we see this coming in. And I'm not sure that this siege will necessarily be successful, because sieging a cap is rough because they're going to have way more mages. And we kind of assume that Lanka doesn't die, but we really don't want Lanka to die here. Because if there's anyone we're kind of a little bit scared of, it's Yomi. Although I think we line up good against Yomi, and Lanka lines up really, really poorly against Yomi. But we were just going to send them items and stuff for free, but we worded it in such a way that we gave them an opportunity to offer gems in exchange for the items. He offered gems, and so we're forging 45 gems worth of items between these 4 mages. You can see, I think at least one of them is here. Yeah, the other item that we are forging is the black steel plate, which offers a really high level of protection, and maybe this is actually what we want to forge anyways for our golem, because our golem doesn't seem to get encumbrance from stuff, so that 24 prot is quite appealing. But what were we saying here? We're gonna be getting, he's offered us 54 gems for it. We're also going to be sending to him 200 gold. We offered to sell the gold for gems, but he never got back to us, but we're gonna want to send it regardless. I think we're gonna try and sling him to some extent, which is now kind of amusing, and we look a little bit silly because we slung Yomi earlier, but as long as this conflict is like between the 4 of these guys, then they're not fighting us, and this gives us more time. Like, as long as this conflict is between Therados and Atlantis, this gives us more time. This next turn should be pretty impactful, because I do think that this is the turn that the siege the assault can go through. And so we'll see who's the winner of that, and that might be who's the winner of the underwater. And we might need to make major adjustments next turn. But continuing on, we don't find any magical sites this turn, womp womp. We get through some more summons, but it's kind of stuff we've already summoned, this type of stuff. We see the Stabbing Demon does take out one of our Woodhenge Druids. Don't think that Woodhenge Druid offered much resistance. Looks like, yeah, these Stabbing Demons with the squad, and him having like this, and I guess he's peeled this off of one of our guys at this point. He has a temp water gem, yeah. But we're just never surviving that. And then we also have an assassination attempt on our sleeper, who was trying to find this guy anyways. We took a turn to patrol with the sleeper, expecting this guy to just take a javelin to the chest. Oh, the sleeper misses. Oh, the sleeper hits. Does 6 damage, but the knight finishes him off. Alright, fair enough. Really nice unit. 30 javelins, like a ton of ammo. Probably going to look to summon more at some point, but okay. We have several battles here. Let's kind of go through them. Let's go through kind of the northern ones. None of these are too consequential, so we'll just kind of take a look. But we have the Sea King coming through, and this is just 1 PD. He's going to come through Lake Eternal next turn. Just looking to deny resources here. We could build a lab here instead, but we'll just double back at some point. I do think we want a lab in the Silent Ocean so we can summon another Bishop Fish on this side of things. Also use him to preach. We have over here kind of another, they don't have too much. Oh, I assumed that 7 Heaven was moving out this turn, but he doesn't. So that's kind of bad for him. He loses a mage here. Yeah, the wolves just get in on him. and devour him. You hate to see it. Something also that's notable here is Theranos is just getting dom pushed by us. And we're not actively trying to do this, but they're right next to this throne, so the throne dom pushes them too. And the fact that their underwater stuff is getting pushed by us, you can see here, no Dominion. We do have an adjacency, so we should be... Oh, no, wait, this doesn't have our Dominion yet. So once this has our Dominion, then we will be able to see how much Dominion is here. But this is maybe bad for them. We do have no Dominion here, so we can't see how much they have, but we're going to be building temples here and here. And we might be able to just dom push them. We'll see. I imagine they can just make adjustments, though, and not die to a dom push. And so, continuing on, we saw the battle that was here. Oh, no, wait, there was another battle. There was another battle, and Tianqi was scouting about. And we haven't caught too many scouts, but this is one of them. This also is a reasonable spot to just park a scout on. But this means that we can infer that Tianqi kind of knows what we're doing, because we assume that Tianqi saw Basil Huan just kill everyone. And so that's probably on their radar and just something to keep in mind if they had that scout sitting there for some time. And that's kind of the battles up here in the north. In the south, which we went north to take a look at, we just have kind of some straightforward battles where we're just going in onto the PD. Nothing here. We do get gem baited, or we do have to use our gems. Not here, but this is like the same idea. We do end up using some gems in the Abyss, but this is a funny little trap, though. He loses some scorpions, importantly a sacred scorpion. I don't think he has a lot of sacred scorpions here, which is very nice for us, because I'm actually a little bit unsure of whether the earth elementals can break through the sacred scorpions, but here, they don't rout immediately, and they have enough. I don't know what the metric is, if it's like HP or combat strength or like bump strength, but they have enough that our guys think it's useful to use gems. And so you can see here, but only one phase of gems. He summons some earth elementals, and I think that we also have legions of steel cast, so we waste 4 gems, but as soon as those earth elementals come out, these guys rout. But with them routing, the Mouflin are actually kind of nice, because they do get on their heels, a lot of combat speed, get some kills in, yeah, that's very straightforward for us. They also lose some in the process of the rout. It would have been nice if we had some flyers, but... Or we could have, we had 5 Zots, we could have attacked rear. But, okay, we get kind of the stuff down in the Abyss, and then there's not too much else doing here, other than we are ready to assault. And it's the same kind of script as last turn, with some slight adjustment in that we have moved around some units so that there's 24 Draconians instead of like 20, and the bodyguards are all these guys. Those guys are just going to get gummed up anyways in the kind of opening, so it's not that big a deal that they're just on bodyguard, and this helps us to defend against the assassinations, also why we split up all the units, but we have these guys on attack rear immediately. And that's important because we're going to cast Storm, hopefully at the start of the battle. We will not cast it if things go horribly wrong. We won't cast it in the event she gets assassinated, so hope she doesn't get picked. But to that end, all these guys, all these scouts, are on siege, so they can get picked off by the assassinations. And so it's like 1 in 20-ish, it looks like, that we can roll the Stormcaster getting assassinated. Also, Rip Paxty, I think probably can kill his god. I'm not 100% sure. But we'll see, I guess, if he rolls that. And so that's kind of what we had in terms of battles. We see a couple of neutral battles, or battles we're not involved in. We see the couple of guys in on the Lonkin raiding squad, and something that we're kind of checking for is items and stuff that they're casting. As far as we know, we asked Lonka about this. The highest level magic that Yomi has is Alteration 6, and if that's the case, we might be just ridiculously far ahead in research as well. And I think that might be the case, because we've had a lot of turns of a lot of mages and this type of thing. Yeah, okay, there's also this other battle, which we get to see a couple of the heroes. of Yomi kind of cruising around together, leading some mannequin. Interesting formation. I guess they're maybe both on attack rear and then some amount of defense. And we see some items usage, mirror armor, where they are going for... I don't really know what the... I guess they really want magic resistance for some point, for some reason. Fool's Luck, I think, is kind of like bad. I don't know what's going on exactly there. But carrying a lot of gems, and I don't know why you're carrying Earth Gems here. But okay. This obviously is going to be successful, but did want to kind of point out the two heroes that were present here. I'm pretty sure these are heroes and not standard units of theirs. Okay. And then we get some unexpected events. Minus 50% tax, womp womp, in Mushwood. Kind of a little bit annoying. I think we have a good event too, did we? One Earth Gem? No, nothing too crazy. In Verdant Steppes, we go up to 15 province defense, so eventually they're going to catch the people who are preaching the false god there. But we do have the religious misconception spreading. We already covered the scout that we found. We do finish the palisade in Great Cenote, and you can see 358 income. So income goes up by about 80 gems, so that pays for itself pretty quickly. It pays for itself in like 12 to 15 turns. The fact that it is a cave province means that we have on our fort there cave income bonus 20%, and this has like really been kind of nice for us. We have like 3 provinces that are like pseudo capitals in terms of level of income. Speaking of income, we're going to float a little bit of money because what we want to do next turn is we want to upgrade this and we want to build a fort here. And we're going to need quite a bit of income to do that, but here's what our spend looks like. Don't really need many new units, and so have kind of pulled back on that. We'll ramp it back up shortly, but none of the new units are really going to arrive in time to help with Xibalba. We're sending 200 gold out, and 4,300 being spent on commanders. And if we think about it, we're on like 50 locations or something in that ballpark. Lanka's on like 15 or something, 15. If we think about how much this income is, the 200 gold send is not a lot for us. But for Lanka, this probably represents like 10% of their income, because they have like a third of our provinces, and their scales are not that great for income. Let's see, can we find... Yeah, these are their scales, so they probably don't have a lot of gold income, and so what this means is that, or like duos, where someone takes a super hellish bless, for whatever reason, and another person takes an income-looking thing, probably is an effective strategy, just because the people who have the hellish bless can probably leverage the income better. But expecting this to be at least somewhat helpful to Lanka, even if they don't send us gems for it. Again, we would have sent stuff either way, but we probably should have tried to negotiate some sort of price with Yomi, rather than just lobbing them a bunch of stuff, where we could get some gems out of it. What we're hoping to get is enough gems to maybe go after the elemental royalty in a very short manner, and just summon them all for ourselves. Which means that we need a lot of, in particular, fire gems and air gems are the things that we are a little bit worse on, but also water gems and earth gems. Haven't seen any globals go up from anyone else. This is another reason why I think we're ahead on research, because a lot of the globals start appearing in research level 6, and haven't seen anyone cast any of them. So we could cast more, but I don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves until it becomes really obvious what's going on, which maybe when we take Mighty Pillars, but even then it's probably still not obvious. But a little bit of a more quiet turn. We're going to be assaulting here next turn. The siege isn't quite finished. The siege isn't quite finished here. And we are also going to be assaulting in the... Not both of the Xibalba provinces. God, we can't find it on the map. The map sometimes confuses me. But we're going to be storming in the Abyss. He doesn't have a lot of stuff here, and I think that 21 Earth Elementals will do the trick. And I think that's what we're scripting for. Yeah, we're just gonna summon 21 Earth Elementals and hope that that's good enough. I think it is, but we shall see. We might also get exposed next turn, because I'm pretty sure that this Basalt King, there's not much reason to walk Basalt King out here. I guess unless you want to take this, but that's kind of aggro on Tianqi. But there's not much of a reason to walk him out here unless he's the Prophet. And so I think that there's a decent chance that also next turn, the Throne of Secrets gets taken, and we think that this is a level 2 throne. And we know that the Iron Throne is the one that Xibalba had. And so we know that the Throne of Misfortune is the one that is by Rus. So respectively, this is the Xibalban one, and this is the Rusian one. And so that leaves it a coin flip between the Throne of Fortune and the Throne of Secrets. We're not sure which one it is. It's a secret. But I believe that where's the other throne? Someone's standing on a throne and hasn't taken it, I think, somewhere. It's kind of bad that I'm not sure where the other level 2 throne is. But we think that the level 3 thrones actually is probably... We think that these are the level 3 thrones because they are guarded by Zeus. These two were guarded by Zeus, and this has a ton of elementals on it. In which case, Yomi's sitting on the other one. But the point is at a certain point, if we are just ridiculously ahead of research, which I kind of think that we are, the Throne of Secrets is going to reveal this, and this might cause us to get a coalition. So, a little bit leery of next turn, maybe. Alright, we do have turn 54 here, and as the title might imply, we have this battle with Xibalba. Let's not belabor it. We do have... Well, actually, first, let's belabor it slightly. We have the answer to our question. Hubris on my part, thinking that we could take the Tuatl of Night in a fight. The answer is apparently not. I thought that this would be kind of okay for us. I mean, I guess this guy doesn't get to get a script off. Really unfortunate, but he casts Iron Skin. He gets some stuff off. He has 29 protection. I thought that this was pretty good. Looks like he casts another spell. What does he cast in? Fists of Iron? Alright, well. And he kind of gets a lot of these guys down, but then I think he gets fatigued out. He doesn't have enough magic resistance. And the Tuatl, wow, just hits him for 36 off the bat. Wow, why so much? Wait, how did you hit him for 36? I'm so confused. Oh, Bane Blade is 50 damage? Jesus. And then, damage, he casts Decay, magic resist negates, but yeah, 52 is quite a lot. Okay, the question becomes more clear. And he has a way bigger HP pool, so we really needed to, like, resist, but we're not dying to the imps, we're just dying to getting whacked by the Bane Blade here. That's definitely... okay, that's fair. All of that's fair. We should have maybe had more bodyguards on him. I don't think we did, but I don't think it would have mattered given his HP pool. I was thinking that his protection was really low, so he would be hitting us low and we'd be hitting him high, but that's not quite how that shook out. Also, the Fire Shield, probably pretty solid for him. I don't remember him casting that. I guess that's... He opened with that while his little free spawn went after us. So... That is unfortunate, and so that breaks one of the axes. We're just going to view the battle, not kind of spoil stuff. That gets rid of one of the axes we have for this. Also a little bit frustrating, because every single one of his assassination attempts has gone in on the most expensive unit of ours. And so I'm beginning to think it's not random. Even though I read it was random, the assassination mechanic just seems to get the highest value target every time. But what that leaves us with is our entire squad... minus Rip Paxty, undisturbed, because there's no more assassination attempts, because we know the other assassin's not in the right, he's not in the capital here. He has 2 assassins. And so we're going to cast our big-ass script, and very importantly, the Draconians are going to immediately jump the backline. Now, this is going to lead to a lot of casualties on our part. Some of his guys jump our backline, and he's trying to script up. The Ozelotls just die instantly before they can get all blessed up, and Storm comes through for us, so no more flying. No more flying except for Rip Paxty, who's already dead, so he's really not flying. But now, Now we make short work of his kind of mage core here before they can summon up a whole bunch of skeletons. And so that's really what's happening kind of in the back line. We're going to suffer a lot of casualties. At the same time, these guys run forward and beginning to feel like the Myru warriors are a bit of a liability because they just generally get in the way. Our earth elementals can't push them out of the way, and they've just generally kind of, or specifically in sieges, they're a liability because there's only like 5 squares wide to get through. 1, 2, 3, or is it 4 squares wide? And we really want the elementals on those squares because they have trample, and the Myru warrior just seem to generally get in the way. But okay, continuing back here, some of the scorpions turn around, but he's just gonna have a bunch of mages. They're very vulnerable, and they just die quite quickly here. The ones that have some scorpion coverage do get some spells off, but that's spells that are not dedicated to the front. So we actually push out into here at the very outset, but the elementals can cruise through our size 3 units. They can't cruise through the other ones. We also do get off the part of the script here where we're summoning 12 air elementals. And these guys do work, especially on the castle walls. Getting rid of these guys with unlimited arrows, that's quite nice. And the projectiles getting disturbed by storm is also nice. 50% of them are lost, and so that really allows us to attrition a whole lot less. But okay, we're gonna have these guys, and the flyers are going to be very nice because they can squeeze the back line too here and kind of get into the open spots, which gives room for, since these guys are size 6, that gives room for the Beck rides to kind of jump in, and that's useful for us. Still kind of cleaning up the backside. It looks like some of his Xibalban guard have about-faced and are instead moving towards covering kind of the remaining mages here. The Claymen, kind of a bit of a distraction here. It takes a little while. Our guys don't have that much combat speed. They're kind of slow. And they can't fly. Normally they could just fly, and so that's kind of significantly limiting their ability to do stuff, but Storm allows us to cast Summon Storm Power to get a bunch more elementals, although perhaps we should have just invested more air gems and not inhibited the flight of our Draconians, because it does take them a little bit longer to take out the Mage Core than maybe is desired. But now some of the Earth Elementals are kind of cruising through, and the Cynos aren't really getting in, or the Cynos are starting to get in now. And so these units are going to be kind of killy. But these Beckride Heavy Infantry also kind of getting in the way, because we'd actually rather have Cynos in. So in terms of units that we're going to probably pull back on recruiting, just generally speaking, or just be using less in assaults, probably the Myra Warrior, and also these Beckride Heavy Infantry. It'd be preferable to have Cynos. Unfortunately, we can only recruit Cynos from one place, but these guys cost about twice as much, but on a per square basis, they're a lot better, especially if our strategy for all major battles is summoning these Earth Elementals, because then they can split a square with a size 6 and a size 4. And so on a per square basis, you know, the heavy infantry, we're getting 3 guys a square, so they don't like look as bad as the Cynos, but in terms of splitting a square, a Cyno and an Elemental or a Cyno and a Myru Warrior, that looks way better than a Beckride Heavy Infantry, which aren't very killy at all. They don't have the same threat pressure. But also, they're nice for being just massive chaff, and they take some of our like protection blesses a little bit better, because these guys went from protection 13 to 16. A lot of stuff is doing less than that amount of damage. So, okay, maybe they're okay as the damage soak and anvil and hammer theory type thing. But the rest of this battle is just kind of clean up as we push them on kind of multiple fronts and they start routing. Their Scorpions kill a ton of stuff of ours, though. Unfortunately, we lose like all the Manticores, but they had a lot of turns worth of summoning on those Scorpions. Maybe an argument for us trying to kind of close out stuff faster, but I also think that the power spike of us having like these elemental massive trains is probably fine too. Don't necessarily hate it here, but ooh, look at this guy. Just bopping one dude at the very end here. But that's the battle. And with that, Xibalba is effectively dead. We also find a ton of research gear. which is very, very nice for us, because this is going to make it so we obviously research much faster. And if we take a look at what our research looks like now, now that we've kind of added all that stuff in, getting 14, close to 1,500 research turn, we're going to get 3 turns for Conjuration 8, unlike the 4 turns we were expecting. So that's kind of what's going on with Xibalba. The rest of what's going on with Xibalba is us just kind of setting up for other stuff. We're moving a Myru champion over here to build a lab. We're moving a Sorgina, I think, over here to search, and then also summon a Watcher, this type of thing. And we have a lot of these guys researching. Now, we could assault and force if I do now. I think we're just going to wait 1 turn, though, and use I Miss Paxti to summon a bunch of extra elementals, and maybe not use as many Myru warriors in the assault as we possibly could, or put them further back so they don't get in the way of the earth elementals. But I do think that we could probably push in a little bit better with him. And also, if we wait a turn, I think he has to fade a turn of guys attritioning from lack of gold. Like right now, if we attack, I think the attack goes through before the gold payments, but I'm not 100% sure. I could look this up. Maybe I'll look this up and make the decision accordingly, but he only has 11 gold of income. He has, like, I think half the province income. So everyone's just going to desert. It was different when he had Xibalba, and Xibalba had decent income, but okay. Also, we have these guys patrolling. They have 196 patrol strength. If his god stays here, almost certainly going to get discovered and then have a battle. I think that because he only has 16 prot, the god just loses to getting swamped by units. I don't think that he wins versus all these. We also shifted all the units onto these guys because if there is a battle, it will be with these two. So, but he also might just call it quits. I don't really know, and let the computer take over. I imagine the computer tries to move the god back to Forest of Idun or something like this. But effectively, Xibalba has fallen. We've taken their capital. We have slain an amount of mages that even if we just stopped attacking him, he's basically out of the game either way. Because this was his remaining mage core. I think he has 4 mages in the Forest of Idun. And turn 50 with only 4 mages, like, even if he got all of his territory back, there's, like, no chance he can really recover. He would just fall behind on research. Also, losing all of his research items really just kind of... he's just dead. Alteration does complete. We're going for Conjuration 8. I think we talked through this a little bit already, so we won't belabor it. We do find 1 magical site. A little bit of glamour gems. Coming to the party a little bit late, but late is better than never. We have a bunch of site searches that fail. We do get some blood mages, this type of thing. Our blood economy is starting to develop a little bit. We can maybe just take a quick look at the score graphs, including the blood income, but it's not good, but it's like getting better and getting consistent. Incidentally, since we're kind of reaching the end of this episode, we could take a look at some of the other stuff. Really just been linearly acquiring provinces here. Forts have just massively increased in the last couple turns. We are going to not be able to spend... we have like 15 to 16 places that are recruiting mages. And we're getting to the point where we can't keep them all going, which we would want to, but, you know, it is what it is. Suffering from success. Income up a little bit. Gem income should be up quite a bit as we've taken the stuff. Research starting to look parabolic a little bit more. Dominion kind of flat. Army size did go down. And Ascension points has remained kind of relatively stable here. We also, from a macro perspective, Atlantis beats Theranos, and they beat them super handedly, because we've been talking with Atlantis, and they showed us the outcome of the battle, and basically, I don't think Theranos has a path to victory, but they are trying to convince Atlantis to go after a peace deal or something like this. I think Atlantis probably says no. We'll see how that shakes out. But we might attack Theranos because our army's right here. They are in the way, and we would actually love to push this army up through to Rus. But also, this is in the way. We are dom pushing them kind of already, and they have a bless that is a little bit spooky. Unbearable Splendor. It only works when their god is online. Their god is dead, so there is that. But also, this marks a point in time where Atlantis can turn on us a little bit more easily than before, so we probably prepare a little bit for that contingency. To that extent, we're recruiting a bunch of Tartalo to get a bunch of Mouflin, because the Tartalo's raiding with Mouflin is just very, very cost efficient, and there's so much surface area here that we want to make a war with us just completely unprofitable if it were to happen, but we're still kind of focused on just winning without decking on anyone new, so... But did want to comment that this kind of changes the nature of the thing. Also, had Theranos won, then Atlantis would be the one in trouble, because Atlantis would have nothing left right before their capital. But fundamentally, like, this is like a strategic issue. And I think that Theranos probably mishandled the game strategically just early on. They have a Bless and an Awake Pretender. They probably kind of have to kill someone to justify that. They have this big-ass Bless with an Awake Pretender. And they failed to do it because they started out 1v2ing. And so attacking Xibalba initially for them was just probably a mistake. Because if they had killed Atlantis early, then they would be in really good shape. But they didn't get enough out of it. And part of it is, I think, that they were winning 1v2. And they just wanted to continue, but they should have tried to extricate as quickly as possible from at least one of those fights, whether it was Atlantis or with Xibalba. Them just killing Xibalba also works. I think strategically the best person for them to attack would have been Roos, given the map and kind of the configuration, because then they get access to a bunch of these other pawns. And they can also really outmaneuver Roos. But I think having this death war with Atlantis is really unproductive, because the place that you can push... This is the province that they can push, right? It's the only province that's adjacent. It's right next to the capital. He can just load this up with a ton of mages, and then you have to push in with way fewer mages than he has. It just doesn't really work. If you are fighting him out here, then you could do a lot better, because he has to spend a lot of mage turns, or waste a lot of mage turns, lose a lot of research to bring, like, that many mages to bear. But, with here, you get to have them researching, and if they attack you, then you just, like, set up your script and you're not losing any turns of research. And so, I think just, like, strategically, this just doesn't work. Like, and so, yeah, the game would have looked a lot different if Atlantis attacked either Yomi or Xibalba, and Theranos attacked Roos. Incidentally, Roos, we'll kind of circle around back to this. They were controlled by the AI again. I thought that they had rage quit because they were tired of getting raided, but then they did their turn this morning. Shout out to the loud car outside. So, I think at the very least they're probably frustrated by this, but they're caught between a rock and a hard place where we're just going to raid them a bunch, and then if they step outside with the army, we probably just drop Oonga Boonga stick on him if he doesn't look like he has an answer to Foul Vapors, which he hasn't kind of shown yet, and so... he has been keeping all of his stuff in forts, and this might be why, but our plan is actually just to go for... We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this as we cruise through. We kind of already talked through the Xibalba stuff, but we get assassinated, battle in Lake Eternal, we pick up his other pond with no resistance, there's a battle in the Forest of Long Night, just this guy getting in on the PD, but it's always worth checking what Yomi is maybe bringing. He's opening with Invulnerability. Is that... He's opening with two things? Okay, so one of them is Blessing. Seems like you would have someone else for Blessing other than your Oni, but we can kind of also see what equipment they have. Haven't really noticed anything too new. Just kind of some of the old stuff. We do see he's carrying gems with him, a mix of gems. The Shikome are the ones who really need Blessing, but... I guess this guarantees everyone gets blessed, and he's going to go summon Earth Power. Alright, this guy's gonna bless too. I don't know if I like bless or the sequencing here. Summon Earth Power at the start makes a lot of sense for reducing fatigue, but also, like, you have this guy for blessing. You don't, it's unnecessary. But, okay, he has a bunch of Shikome. The Shikome come in. and they're terrifying, but they don't even get to play, because the other guys get in there first. You maybe also just, like, want to stagger them differently, so they all kind of enter combat at the same time. But okay. There is that. We have this battle over here, again, us just kind of raiding. No, like, really consequential battles, other than the one at Airmore, and I suppose we'll go through the sneaking. We do get the False Prophet event kind of eventually figured out by our PD there, and then we also find a scout of Xibalba's in Great Synod, and this kind of highlights part of the idea behind the Watchers. They're doing double duty. They're denying vision, and they're allowing us to blood hunt with out increasing unrest. Really kind of like this play pattern. I don't know if the Watcher is the best unit for it. Watcher's just generally kind of a strong unit, though. So if we get attacked in siege battles, this is going to be a rather nice unit, applying kind of a lot of pressure and is relatively hard to kill. Never ever heals, though. Womp womp. Okay. And so this kind of brings us to this zone here, where Airmore attacks us yet again. And we win the battle, but we attrition enough Mouflin that we don't have enough siege strength to assault next turn, which is a bit unfortunate. We could maybe put someone in front of the Mouflin. We're maybe not handling this perfectly, and we're also not applying any additional resources to killing Airmore, because in our heads they're effectively dead, but we probably could have done something a little bit more decisive. They will trade decently with the slingers, though, so don't really mind too much. We also... our script fails somewhere, where this guy doesn't end up getting flying, right? Or did we not have a Sorgina in here? No, the Sorgina was in here, so our script whiffs, because he should be flying. But okay. We do kill a bunch of the slingers. This is all you can really do is hire mercs and a bunch of slingers or whatever, and that's like what he's been doing, and it's been taking us forever to kill him, but okay. We're bringing more guys for the siege strength and hoping to get after Airmore soon. Airmore, inside of it, only has 2, like, augurs and 1 augur elder, and whatever they've summoned the past few turns with the gems that they're getting from these 2 provinces, so... not too concerned. Here we do break through on the fortification, and so we're going to storm the castle with just Bazahuan and also this guy. And we're just going to run it down. I think that he's going to be enough to take out what's in there because there's 0 mages in there. And so I don't think we have to worry about anything. So him just running it down, I think is fine. If we lose this guy, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Maybe there's a way... I think we're summoning an Earth Elemental, too. Yeah, we're casting some Blessing Temper Armors, Gift of Giant Strength, Temper Flesh. I think we'd rather have... summon Earth Elemental. Yeah. I think that just provides him a little bit more coverage to not die. Oh, and we have a little bit of a bodyguard. Why don't we make that a little bit bigger? Because we'd kind of rather he not die. So that should work. But we're also clamping down here. And we're clamping down using a nice little maneuver here on Ion. This guy, we gave him flying, and we gave him Ring of Water Breathing so he could pass over the Water Province. Normally he'd not be able to fly here, but we're bringing another Gentil into the mix. And with a new suit of armor. So he has higher resting protection than before, and will get up to, like, higher once he casts his script much higher. So... going after Elkland, feel like this is a pretty safe for us. Also, moving over this gnome, who still has sailing, by the way. Going to try and pick up troops, go to Wisespring Grove, and then sail over to Palame, which is going to allow us to siege that fort. And the guys who are really good for sieging are these flyers that we have here. We have 99 siege strength in here. In here we have 95 siege strength. Both are going to go for White Harbor here. And our goal is not necessarily to take White Harbor, but to make his armies move. We're generally not raiding with anything valuable inside of his cap circle right now. Because we're just afraid of getting moved on. Like this raid that's coming through is just the werewolves. or just the wolves. And if we lose that, that's kind of okay with us. And so what we're doing is we're trying to force him off of one of his forts that actually has units, and then once we do that, we can either land a pillar on top of it, land our Pretender God, or make adjustments, or attack him from the other side, or this type of thing. But just kind of waiting for him to make a move, and both the sieges on White Harbor and Palame are either going to make him make a move, or we'll just grab White Harbor and Palame and then push for the capital and this type of thing. And so we do have a couple more raids coming through as well. We're, I think, attacking a total of 5 of his provinces. We're attacking 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it's 4. But he doesn't have very many left. He has something like 12. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is 11? So he's got to do something different, or he's just going to slowly get strangled out. And this is why we thought he rage quit. It's just there's like not a play pattern. If he doesn't have an answer to us just dropping the Pretender God on him with Foul Vapors, if he doesn't have an answer to this, then he functionally can't defend against all the raids. And so he's caught between two different things, where we couldn't conquer his entire everything with the Unga Bunga stick, but we can take out armies. And so if we're raiding for stuff that loses to an army but beats all of his PD, then he has to move the armies out to beat it, and then this thing kills the armies. So really, like, quite a bit of dual pressure there. We also are doing a couple of forgings here, where we are with this guy forging a little bit of this blood magic +1. Once we have this, because it's blood magic level 3 required, we will be able to put this on a guy who has blood magic 1, and then use the blood magic 2, since we have the enchantment that gives +1 to levels, to forge more of these blood thorns. So we're going to put blood thorns on all of our guys who are currently searching for or for blood slaves, I think. We could have moved out with our Pretender. We're kind of thinking that we might just put our Pretender in Avoca, and also look to build up in Avoca, where we are less likely to be spotted going for a second forest. And so summoning a whole bunch of stuff with our Pretender, trying to patrol out the adjacent provinces to make sure scouts don't get through, and so we can really keep kind of what we're doing a little bit concealed, was kind of the idea. We also have this idea where we can march through here to get to Rus if we declare on Therados, but it's probably unnecessary. It's probably unnecessary, and then we have to accumulate enough army here, which I don't think Therados can see our army here. I think it's just Rus who's not talkative, so trying to conceal as much as possible that we're building up to go for thrones. But up top side, we're doing a little bit of that. Little bit of Ring of Returning here. Forging this with the Golem rather than dropping the Golem in. We thought about dropping the Golem in this turn. Decided to wait. We thought that Therados might be prepping to go in on Rus, but there's no way he can go on in on Rus if he has to fight Atlantis. However, we think there's a chance that Atlantis is also just not feeding us correct information, and they're deciding to fight us now. But that would be a spectacular move by Therados, because Therados is like kind of dead in the water, no pun intended, and I think Atlantis probably should push him. And in a world where he just like fights us, that's like probably not the best avenue, or you need to convince everyone to fight us, I think, rather than like just adding the two of you onto the pile type of thing. But if we don't see Atlantis move out against this guy anytime soon, we'll take that kind of as a signal that they're maybe working together against us. But okay, so that's kind of what we're doing with some of our forging here. We have a lot of forging going on for like kind of miscellaneous type items, water bracelet, extra armor, this type of stuff. More armor pieces, looking to replace on all of our gentles the armor with a little bit of a better one. And then we kind of have down here making more dwarven hammers. We'll continue to make dwarven hammers, and also maneuvering another gentle to the surface here, using Boots of the Messenger to save on mage turns. Just been very valuable overall. All this stuff like adds up, and so we're moving him to the Abyss. We're probably going to profit him and move him into Mighty Pillars and take that. or that is going to be the plan. But also, we make immediate use out of our Ring of Wizardry here. We need to have Fire 3 to summon a Fire Spirit. We crafted this last turn, the Skull of Fire, with our Crosspath guy. We can't craft the other Fire Booster, which requires Fire 4, but we could craft this. And then with this, we can summon the Fire Spirit, and the Fire Spirit can craft the normal Fire Booster. That's probably not what we're going to use them for. We're probably going to use them to Sight Search. And we're probably going to use the spell to Sight Search, so just spend 2 Fire Gems every turn to Sight Search one place instead of move, search, move, search, move, search. But already just kind of showcasing the Ring of Wizardry is basically going to allow us to accumulate a bunch of Fire Gem income over the course of like the next 5 to 6 turns if the game lasts that long. And so that's going to be very, very useful for us. In terms of our spend, we are still spending a ton on commanders. The unit spend is generally speaking reduced. In this is also quite a few Tartalos, which I think we mentioned around Xibalba. But we are also spending a little bit on units, not too much. I think most of the units we're recruiting are like here or random cavalry all over the map. And then also maintaining constant production of Bebrick's Guard will never ramp that down. But eventually I think we should ramp up the Sinos, because I think the Sinos are like the best unit we could recruit. We started to recruit these guys again. Really just want to hit those Astral rolls, 1 and 3. But some of the other rolls are okay, and we can also use these guys to hold Watchers for patrolling. So because the Watcher's a magical unit, it takes a magical guy. Shout out to magical men all over the world. And it's not that much upkeep to kind of keep up this blood hunt slash vision denial thing. What were we? Oh, wait, okay. We were going through this. We spent some gold renewing mercenaries, specifically the Useless Idiot Obscuro, and also Helmet Snappers, which we really want, so we kind of overbid on that quite a bit, and the Ghoul Father, who we want for our assault next turn. Could have just not bid on him and used him to assault this turn, and that probably would have been fine, but floating this is not like the worst. And also, he can search for fire sites, this guy, because he does have fire 2. Which is not something we have access to, but also we can actually use them to cast this spell, which finds fire spots. So maybe actually we're just kind of super okay, just constantly using him, and so that'll be good. And then we spent 2,200 on buildings, something like this, where we are putting in an upgrade on Mighty Pillars Castle. That's 600. We are building temples in the Abyss. See, build a temple. And Xibalba, build a temple. Where's the temple builder? And then we are also starting a fort here in Relotia because we have these guys. And we want to build these guys as quickly as possible, so we're going to build and upgrade the fort as quickly as possible. It helps us to break into Astral, lets us cast really high-level air magic down the road, especially when you start including gems and this type of stuff, and also gives us a chance for those fire randoms, which we can use to search for fire stuff. And so, do think that that's pretty valuable. We will be able to, hopefully next turn, assault Forest of Idun, but not quite this turn. There's another thought I had, but I lost it. You can maybe focus in a little bit on what's going on around here, in terms of just everything, because I do think that this is like an important little zone here if we want to push King's Tomb Desert. And my thought is that we can summon Queen of Elemental Air with this Sorgina if we make 2 boosters, 2 air boosters, or 1 air booster and the Ring of Wizardry. And also do King of Elemental Earth with 3 Earth boosters on this guy. Although I think we'll eventually get a Gentle over here, so that would only require 2 boosters. But I think that we summon a couple Elemental Royalty here in Lish, and we summon a couple here in Avoca in order to do part of our prep. That way, when we kind of get in here, we have maybe 4 to 5 mages that are summoning elementals with the big summon spells that summon 4+, and with those, 3 or so of the mages are casting them more than once, so we summon like 40 elementals. and that should be really effective. But also, one of the Queen of Elemental Air, if I recall correctly, the Elemental Royalty, one of them just summons Storm on entry. And that'd be really useful for taking out this, because there's going to be Springhawks and Griffins and Icarids, and if those just categorically can't fly, that would be useful for us, because that would prevent them from getting in on us. We could cast a fat script, and then we could just get in on them with like 40 or so elementals, something like this. And so that's kind of what we want to do in Lish to some extent. We've also prepped defending against an attack here in Lish, where we have the Trolls, who are the recruitables, out in front. Let's kind of put this guy a little far back. The Lamias behind them. We have the Draconians jumping the backline, and the Wolves, which are stealthed up anyways. And behind that, we have the Vinemen and the Vine Ogres. Those should be on attack rear. Let's actually change that up. But these guys will kind of, much like how our Myru pushed through the front line of 3, these guys should be able to push through and get on the enemy. But we've also posted up far and back. Plan here is to still Foul Vapors. And everything here is poison resistant, or almost everything, not this guy. He'll die, but, you know, sacrifices, consequences, this type of thing. And we're summoning here, and that's kind of what we're doing here. Here, we are contacting a Lamia and awakening some Vinemen, and some Vine Ogres. So those are the summons that are coming in, along with the summon allies. We can use a boat. If we use a boat, we can... Certainly, the boat would have a louder motor than that, but if we use a boat, we can have a Draconian transport a whole bunch of flyers with him. And so that's going to be something that's on our radar. We just don't need to recruit it yet. But we are currently recruiting, summoning these guys. We are going to be site searching with a couple of these guys. And we want to site search with our Sorgina over here as well. But we are thinking also maybe build a temple. We also changed up the recruitment here to recruit at least one priest. We're going to use her to preach and or maybe build temples, but also to get the bless off on the Oirapata, or sorry, the Jade Maidens, because we don't really have a good means of doing that right now without wasting Sorgina scripting time. And we do want to have these guys in the mix, so we are going to need at least one guy who is going to be a priest, although we are planning on having a priest, a bishop fish in the long term. In the short term, this will be kind of okay. And also preaching to raise this so that we can kind of dom push Therados. I thought that would be okay. But another thing is, we're also just bulking up kind of a big army here. If the Jade Island thing moves north, then we will just take Jade Island with this. There's like 400 to 500 total siege strength here, so it would be just 2 turns of sieging, although we'd have to try and figure her out, because she is homesickness 10, so she loses health every turn. But when we march in on something, we maybe cast the first thing in her script is personal regeneration to kind of cheese that mechanic so she could stay out in the field a little bit longer. And then if something comes up with Troll Canyons either way, we can kind of adjust where we moved and kind of in adjustment to this. But I do think that this is like an important zone for us, even though we're kind of going to be pushing down the front door as well. But we're just actually just going to be pushing kind of 4 lanes and asking him where he's going to apply pressure. And then wherever he applies pressure, if he moves up from Jade Island, we'll just withdraw the guys. If he moves up towards here, we'll just withdraw the guys. It's pretty straightforward. And then if he like cracks down here, we maybe fight him, and then we push the capital. And so we're still trying to operate under the principle of fight where he is weak. We also don't want to attrition a ton here, because that will lose our loud car. Everyone knows that when you fight for pinks, okay? The pink slips. When you have big battles, one of you guys gets the car, and except you both lose your pink slip because attrition's just generally bad. So we would rather fight and not lose guys, if that makes sense. Hopefully it didn't. But that's kind of what we have going on here. I think that we're coming up close, as long as we don't get coalitioned by like the entire group, everyone. I think we're in kind of good shape, and I don't know if they have the Diplo to organize that. I think the one person who has been doing Diplo pretty well, and has been very conversant, has been Atlantis. I think they don't want to attack us, because if Atlantis attacks us, here's the thing. If Atlantis attacks us, even if they prevent us from winning, I think that this is just so open to getting raided. And that like, we are just a nightmare fight for him. His path to victory, I think, includes him killing Atlantis while convincing Yomi to attack us, and Yomi in Lanka and Tianqi, and I think that's too much of an ask. I don't think you're going to convince both sides of this 3v1 that they should all team up after being enemies for so long. Also, Muspelheim has nothing to do but attack Yomi at this point, so we could also go after Muspelheim, but I don't think that for like the throne or something, I don't think that this makes too much sense, but it would be an option. We could just cast a spell that makes it cold here and march right across. Would be the way that we would be able to execute that, but also don't want to fight a massive stack of Muspel Giants, although it does look like Yomi has kind of parsed that down a bit, and that's kind of what we mean. Like, just generally speaking, we've tried to make our wars really decisive and us just not lose a lot of attrition, and I think we've done a pretty good job of it, and so like, we danced around with Xibalba a lot, but we didn't have a lot of decisive battles unless they were like overwhelming. We lost a lot to assassinations, though, so trying to go in line with this principle, but only losing 68 here is not too bad for killing all of his mages, you know? And then in the Abyss, virtually no casualties. And then we'll see about this next turn, but also going to probably have really low casualties. So that's what we have coming up. I think this is going to conclude, or this is definitely going to conclude this episode, unless we have some sudden thoughts from the Abyss to add at the end of this. If you like this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do the YouTube algorithm thing, etc. And other than that, y'all have a good one. Bye-bye now. We did have an additional thought. We sent off all the gear to Lanka. We are getting 54 gems for this. It cost us some amount of gems to forge. The net gem gain is about 25, with 4 mages spending their turns along with hammer turns for forging all of this stuff. So that's going to be good for us. Base price of all this is 45. We got 54 for it, and then we forge it 9 gems cheaper from our enchantment, and then cheaper from hammers, cheaper from gentles. So maybe we gain net like 30 gems from this exchange. And we offer Tianqi kind of the same idea, that we will be able to send them items, and that we would like to exchange for them, this type of thing. And this is part of just like the macro. We're not going to give the same offer to Yomi. We're not going to give Yomi the opportunity to buy tier 7 items, because Yomi is beating them right now, right? If Yomi was losing, we would probably put the shoe on the other foot. And we're just trying to extend the length of this conflict, because when there's not someone super big for us to fight, this benefits us. Also, Yomi is, I think, the spookiest person. Even though I think we line up okay against them, and we're probably going to recruit Sinos for an eventual fight against them, this type of thing, if we have to. I think that we would prefer to have a situation where there's this massive stalemate. Because at this point, I think, as we're finishing off these wars, I think we actually could fight Atlantis and Theranos simultaneously, especially based on what Atlantis has told us about their income. I think that we're making at least 3 times as much as Atlantis, if not more. And so this puts us in a position where we're going to give this offer to Tianqi. We're also going to send it to Muspelheim next turn. We're looking to stagger it out. Muspelheim hasn't been the most talkative, and he's kind of in rough shape. I don't think he has a path to victory, but he may look to send a message, is kind of what he has left to do. He's just too weak. I don't think there's a way that he gets strong enough, but we don't want to tango with him, and so looking to kind of do this for accumulating gems and influencing on a macro level what's going on the map in a way that is favorable to us, by kind of giving additional power level or access to power to people who otherwise don't have it, so that they can fight what would be our potential enemies. Because if Yomi gets Omega huge and conquers everyone, and Yomi's expanding at a decent clip here, then Yomi, Atlantis, and Theranos combined, assuming Yomi conquers everyone, that would easily be able to beat us, and so we're trying to kind of tamp that down a little bit if we can. Also making a couple moves here in Feral Woods. Realize that we have this blood guy coming up. He's going to be able to search this, and then he's going to come up and be able to blood search Feral Woods. So we are going to be generating unrest, generating corpses, and so what we're going to be doing, or we're generating unrest, we're going to cast a Watcher so that we can patrol this entrance better, which should be nice for us, considering we think that Theranos might aggro us, or try to, with Atlantis, aggro us, so we're going to prepare ahead of time for this possibility with a couple of ways. And we already have a mage here that can, shout out to Loud Car outside, we already have a mage here that is capable of holding the Watcher and patrolling, and is also just an awful researcher. He has, without this, only... this Quill is giving... Actually, he's kind of an okay researcher at this point because he has some experience. But we can have... Oh, he's okay because he rolled 2 magical paths. I guess they all rolled 2 magical paths. Anyways, the point is that we will be able to patrol with one of these guys. We will be able to blood search. And then with this guy, eventually, or what we plan on doing is... Not just yet, but we will get a lightning rod, which gives corpse construction bonus. The corpse men are kind of an effective strategy. They do lightning damage when they take damage, so they're maybe effective against... and they're poor amphibians, so they can go underwater. They're maybe effective against Theranos. And we need corpses in order to do that, but we'll generate corpses from the patrolling that we need to do in order to kind of have the blood going on. So just a lot of synergy overall going on, but also... If we get into a conflict with someone, this is a ton of gold of mages. We do not want to be caught with our pants down here, so us accumulating these corpse constructs, much in the way we're accumulating these gelatinous cubes, which should be stealthy, I think gives us a lot of resilience to any type of raiding that maybe heads this way, and we can also just massively increase the PD. And these are fairly good PD guys, and what's really nice is that everyone comes out to play if they go in and fight on us. We're vulnerable to them just hitting with some huge magic and then dipping, but we will look, I think, to continue to reinforce this in Feral Woods against potential attack in a way that is relatively efficient. Like this Corpseman construction thing, it only requires 1 air gem a turn. It uses a mage turn, but this guy's mage turn is not that valuable, and it leaves us with a bunch of 0 maintenance kind of chaff to act as a front line, which is exactly what we need when we have like this quantity of mages. And so I do think that strategically this works out pretty well for us and is a nice, cute little thing that probably doesn't come into play, but relieving pressure for us in terms of what we have to worry about over the course of maybe 10 turns or so, after which we will have maybe some good accumulation here, I think is something that we're interested in.